Hey, how's it going, everybody? Happy Thursday. I had to think about that for a second. It has been so long since I've been live. I think it's literally been like 4 months. Like the last live that I see on my YouTube page was like 4 months ago. So I'm hecka rusty. Y'all, I've been just in my own little zone, my own little world, doing my own little thing. What's going on, Valerie? It is so good to see you. Shout out to her, you guys. If you have not checked out her channel already, please be sure to do so. She has some great content. She's doing some amazing things, family friendly. She's a beautiful family. Y'all go check her out if you haven't already, please. What is going on, Bria? What is going on? Another lovely content creator. We had a chance to do a live a while back. Man, I'd love to. I gotta check back in with y'all because, like I said, it's been a minute. I've been in my own little world, doing my own little thing, but I do want to get back into the game a bit. So, anyways, just to get right into today's topic, there's a couple of things that I want to cover off. I was going back and forth as to whether or not I wanted to just do like a pre-record on this or do it live. My husband was like, "Look, just do it live, just something different." So I was like, "Okay, why not?" I want to kind of piggyback off of the video that I dropped a few days ago because it spurred on a conversation, surprise, surprise, that I think is still relevant today. So I'm going to just give a quick recap as to what happened, where things went, and then we will go from there. There you go. Subscribe to the channel. It looks like I got to silence my notifications. Sorry, y'all. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. Okay. So quick recap, if you guys were not aware, you haven't seen already, I did a video over it's a feud between two YouTubers, but I think it's kind of relevant because of who those YouTubers represent and then what this I think really is speaking to in the overall sphere and what's happening just in the online space and quite frankly in the Black community, right? So if you haven't heard already, popular Black feminist Kimberly Nicole Foster, if I'm not mistaken, she's probably like the top, if not the number one, Black feminist platform out there right now as far as media presence. So she certainly is a very influential woman. She got into a feud with Mumia Obsidian Ali. He is one of the founding fathers of the Manosphere. And while, I know there's a lot of debate back and forth as to what that means, nevertheless, they got into a back and forth feud. This thing lasted over the span of months. And while it is still in litigation, Mr. Obsidian, he has had both of his channels removed from YouTube. From my understanding, he is not going to be returned to YouTube. He's going to be doing things exclusively on Rumble. But like I said, they are still in litigation behind closed doors. Now, how this whole thing started, I want to give you just a backdrop as to how this started and then why I think this is relevant for us and why this conversation I think really speaks to a larger conversation and some larger themes that we can expect to see in the near future, right? So of course, Kimberly Nicole Foster, she did a live about Brittany Renner. I guess a few days after, Mr. Obsidian and his partner, Mrs. Brown Sugar, decided to respond to that live that Kim Foster did, I guess, critiquing Brittany Renner for being a pick-me. Kim Foster got a hold of that video that Mr. Obsidian and Mr. Obsidian's partner, Miss Brown Sugar, did. And after that response, it just pretty much got ugly. There was a whole bunch of different back and forth, back and forth videos. You started seeing people post images. Who does it better? You started seeing, from my understanding, on both sides, right? Mr. Obsidian was posting things about Kim Foster and her boyfriend. Kim Foster's boyfriend started posting things about Miss Brown Sugar, Mr. Obsidian's partner, and it just really got ugly. So, there's a lot of back and forth as to what was going on, who caused what, who's to blame, who was more at fault, whatever. But what we know is that it got pretty ugly. And again, eventually Mr. Obsidian's page got taken down. There's a lot of different theories as to why. Some people are saying it's copyrights claim. Some people are saying it has to do with the video where he associated with Miss Kim Foster with soft corn, right? So there's all this different back and forth. But what we know again is that they started a feud. The feud got a little bit out of hand. It got very personal, started involving the intimate partner of both content creators. And then it got so bad that it ended up in the courts. And that's actually what is happening today. Now, quick recap, right, of, again, who is Obsidian and who is Kimberly Nicole Foster. Let me see. Oh, okay, what's going on, everybody? As you guys are here, be sure to like on the way in, like, share, subscribe. But again, I just want to give you guys a quick recap as to what has been going on and then exactly what I want to cover off in this particular live. Okay. So now going back to who is actually Mumia Obsidian Ali? What is its significance? What does he represent? What is his track record, et cetera, right? So again, Mumia Obsidian Ali is one of the founding fathers of the Black Manosphere. So he was one of the first to really help establish the platform, or just to have established the space for what it is. People who have been in the game for a very, very long time, definitely they acknowledge, him with that. They will give him his flowers when it comes to that, and that's what he's known to be. With that said, however, Mr. Obsidian is personally despised by people of all different backgrounds. There are people in the Manosphere who don't rock with him, although he's one of the founding fathers of the Manosphere. There are obviously Black feminists who don't rock with him. There are people who agree with him politically. Like he's just a very controversial figure. No matter where he goes, there are people who love him and there's people who absolutely just hate his guts. That is just the reputation that he has for himself. So while he has been, pretty integral in establishing the Manosphere for what it is, it's important to understand that he very much is his own person and doesn't necessarily represent the entirety of the Manosphere nor the entirety of the Manosphere ethos, because again, there are many people in the Manosphere who just do not rock with him, don't necessarily like him like that, or don't agree with his ideals. And that is true today, which is why I partially think that the way that this whole situation happened, there are a lot of people actually who are in support of him getting off the platform, partially for that reason. But anyways, that's just a quick recap of who he is. A very, like I said, influential guy, also very controversial. He has a lot of people who love him and also equal amount of people who hate him, if not more. Now, Kimberly Nicole Foster, as I mentioned, she is a very popular Black feminist. She has had for Harriet, I think for certainly over 10 years. I'm not sure the exact number, but she has For Harriet, which is a very prominent Black feminist media platform. I mean, she's been featured in like mainstream media news such as Huffington Post, things of that nature, from my understanding. And she's just very well connected. And so obviously the Manosphere and feminism ideologically are already going to be at odds. That just goes without saying. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, the whole nature of YouTube is people going on, sharing their opinions, right? Reviewing opinions, going back and forth over certain things that they agree or disagree with. So like having a difference of opinion ideologically is not necessarily bad. It does not necessarily mean that that's going to lead to danger. But again, the situation between these people, it just got crazy out of hand. That's essentially what happened. Now, I want to review a comment that I got in my previous video. I'm curious those of you guys who actually saw my video that I did a day or two ago, because this live is somewhat of a continuation of that. So let me know, you guys, in the comment section if you saw my video, or if you did not see my video, let me know in the comment section. But I want to bring up this comment that was sent actually from Am Courtney Michelle. I tagged on this video. I don't even know if she was aware of this live because it was so last minute. Probably, actually, come to think of it, I probably should have. I don't know, but sorry guys, I'm getting distracted because I'm like, this is so last minute. I probably should have been like, hey, I'm going to be reviewing this comment that you had. But anyways, I'll let her know later. Anyway, she left a comment on a video that I did regarding this whole situation, and I wanted to review it because I thought, while she definitely left some critique, I thought there were some interesting points that I wanted to highlight, because again, this speaks to this situation, again, not being just about two content creators, but really being about two ideals, two warring ideologies, and essentially warring politics. And the reason why I think Mr. Obsidian, Mumia Obsidian Ali, and Kim Foster, it's so important to understand that these aren't just like everyday average people, right? Kim Foster, like I said, is one of the leading Black feminists out there today, as far as her platform, as far as her reach. Mumia Obsidian Ali, whether or not you love him or hate him, one of the founding fathers of the Black Manosphere. So while he is controversial and does not represent every voice in the Manosphere, he certainly has a level of influence, right? And so these two warring parties, the way that things went back and forth, really is speaking to the political tension that is, I think, happening and growing more and more. And that's one of the things that I really want to tease out a little bit. Okay. So okay, and to your question, how long have you known Mr. Obsidian? That's a good question. Obsidian was one of the first people who, if not the first person, to reach out to me on YouTube. So, like I said, I've always had positive experiences with him. That doesn't mean I agree with everything that he does. I don't. And that doesn't mean I agree with everything that he says. I don't. But my interaction with him personally have been nothing but positive. Now, I know he's done a lot of controversial things, and then especially when the whole Miss Pearly things happened, I'm like, any alliance that he had with the black female pick-me's or black woman pretty much went out the door when he really sided with Pearly when it came to just that whole fiasco. So yeah, I know he lost a lot of black female followers then, but by and large, like I said, I'm one of those that I try to take things at a face value. I can respect somebody and honor somebody for, them being a human, and my ability to have a positive interaction with them, while at the same time not agreeing with their politics, and while at the same time not agreeing with everything that they do. So, like I said, that has been my interaction with Mr. Obsidian. He was the first one to reach out to me, brought me on his platform, introduced me to a couple of different content creators. That was maybe a little over, like maybe 2.5 years ago that happened. So that's been about as long as I've had a, I guess you could say a YouTube connection with him, about 2.5 years ago when he brought me on. And ever since then, like I said, it's been pretty cordial. So, okay, so let me go back to this. I want to bring up quickly this comment that was left from Miss Am Courtney Michelle. Yeah, just let her know maybe I'll reach out to her and let her know that I'm reviewing what she left. I mean, this is obviously common knowledge. She left it on my video, so this isn't like a secret or anything. But I wanted to review it because I think there's some important things in here that are worth mentioning. Here, so it says, okay. This is in reference to something that I said in my live when I was like, wow, I'm surprised things got so out of hand. Part of me was like, why didn't you guys just block one another? Because if you would have blocked one another, while that could not have controlled what the other person does, that's certainly going to keep it from you engaging with it, because like I said, there's been people who've done, hey, stuff on me. I'm not nearly as big as a for Harriet at this point, right? Or I haven't been online as long as Mr. Obsidian. But I've had people do all kind of hate mail and try to get my channel taken down, all that kind of different stuff. And I've had people try to, dox me, like put information about my husband, about my friends, all kind of different stuff. And it got to the point where I was just like, block. And so when I in the video, I was like, hey, I don't understand why they didn't just block one another instead of constantly engaging. Like if I see somebody's trying to bait me into something or trying to lead me down a road of just combativeness, I'm the kind of person who I'll block. So that is what I mentioned in the video. So her comment in response to that is, you can't block on YouTube. It doesn't stop people from making multiple shows about you. I know from personal experience, this particular situation has nothing to do with misogyny. It's about harassment and putting pornography, right? Pornography on a business that was wrong. Debating ideology is one thing, but doxing someone's boyfriend and putting pictures and where he works, and asking if they look better than him is not. Come on, this was disingenuous. The best go to his Rumble. It's not about ideology, it's harassment. And the professors in the Manosphere space are smart enough to know not to harass women by making 10 videos back to back on their looks. And so why do I think her comment, Miss Am Courtney Michelle's comment, was so significant, right? This kind of goes back to this whole question of misogyny or misogynoir, right? What's happened in this whole feud is that this feud, what Mr. Obsidian has done to a certain extent has been prescribed to the entirety of the Manosphere, saying this entire space is misogynistic, this entire space is misogynoir, right? This is something that Kimberly Nicole Foster has mentioned out of her own mouth. She has not minced words about this. I actually even put a little snippet of something she said in my video. You can see things that the live. She literally has a live that says the Manosphere are liars. She has things about, passport bros and leftover men. She has things about digital terrorism, right? So these, off the top of my head, are just different videos where she has literally said out of her mouth, this is a misogynoir digital terrorist hate group of, little nickel men who hate their mothers, and they're basically out here to bully and abuse Black women. This is exactly what, Kim Foster, in no uncertain terms, has either alluded to or just explicitly said, right? And so I don't think Am Courtney Michelle is necessarily saying that the entirety of the Manosphere is that. She certainly is speaking to this larger concept of this, not only, okay, this content creator being misogynoir, but whether or not this entire space is misogynoir, is misogynistic, and needs to be regulated, right? And this, again, is the larger, I think, theme, if you will, or the larger lessons to be gained from, I think, this feud happening between content creators. Again, it's not, these are just not two random people who are battling online. You have a popular Black female feminist, and you have a rather, popular Black manosphere content creators who represent two opposing politics who went into litigation. Right? So that's not just like something kind of random. That's not just like, oh, this is just a one off. Like, no, these people represent spaces, whether or not, you completely agree with their politics or completely agree with them personally. Nevertheless, people are looking at them as, okay, this is the manosphere over here, this is Black feminism over here. And we see how quickly and how easily it is to kind of put these spaces into silos. I hope I'm making sense here. Hey, what's going on? 18th letter. I know it has been like such a minute. It's been a really long time since I've been here. Y'all see, I got my some green smoothie. Side note, is that like a California thing? I always go back and forth. Like, am I? But sometimes I'll eat stuff and folks are like, that is so California. And I'm like, is green smoothie, is that like a California thing, or do people just everywhere be going around drinking green smoothies? I love my green smoothies because it ensures I get a lot of my vegetables in for the day. But anyways, side note, okay. You said, do you have a past video of Cynthia G saying Jesus was a dusty? And if so, can you please give me that? Do I have? I mean, I have a video that I did where I alluded to women saying that Jesus was a dusty based upon their dating standards. So I do have that video. That's somewhere in my. That's like way old, but it's somewhere in there. Okay. Anyways. Okay, yeah, that's a healthy. That's what I'm saying. That's a healthy, not so something. Right. Absolutely, it's rare to see that down south for real. Okay, anyway, so that's what I'm saying. So I'm Courtney Michelle. I think again we're teasing out this idea of the manosphere being misogynistic, the manosphere being misogynoir, all of that. I'm not saying that I'm Courtney Michelle is exclusively saying that all of the manosphere is that, but the things that she noted in here, as far as the harassment, those behaviors are being ascribed to all of the manosphere, essentially. They're being ascribed to all the manosphere. Kim Foster, out of her own words, has said that. Okay. Now I want to real quickly. I want to review the response to what she had to say. So this is a response to what I said. I'm Courtney Michelle. As I mentioned before, hide user, right? Like, you absolutely can block somebody on YouTube. I've done it multiple times, so it is possible. It's also possible to block people on Twitter. I've done it before. Now, as I mentioned before, I never said that I agreed with any of Mr. Obsidian's actions. If you guys are aware of the details, people were getting doxxed, different emails sent back and forth. To my understanding, Mr. Obsidian and Kim Foster's boyfriend, they were both posting pictures of each other. He was posting pictures of Obsidian's lady friend and talking about, she looked like this or this or that. Obsidian starts posting pictures of both of them. And so it got really nasty. And like I said, I do not in any way, shape, or form agree with the behavior. I don't think it was warranted. I think it was completely out of bounds. And I think it was illegitimate. I think it went too far. And like I said, I'm cordial with a person. That doesn't mean that I agree with their behavior. I want that to be very clear. Now, as far as this being about whether or not this is something about, is this whether or not this is personal, or whether or not this is a larger issue connected with misogyny in the manosphere, I tend to think, again, this is a larger issue connected with the misogyny in the manosphere, simply because this is literally what Kim Foster said out of her mouth. And I have some receipts I'll show you guys a little bit later on. But she has, again, a couple of videos. One that says literally, the manosphere are liars. She has a whole video where she talks about that. She has another video where she talks about digital terrorism and the manosphere being that. She has another video talking about the passport bros and how these people are sex traffickers, right? Or sex traffickers. And so while we know these are individual content creators, Kim Foster has been very vocal about not only her issues with Obsidian, but her issues with the overall space, thinking that the manosphere as a collective is a very toxic space in misogynoir. She has said that. And so this is why I think, no, it's not just about two random people that crossed boundaries, because as far as I'm concerned, both of them crossed boundaries. This is about two politics, two warring ideologies, which is why, in my estimation, they decided to take it to litigation. They didn't just, okay, I'm going to stop engaging. I'm going to go over there. It got to where it's like, no, I'm going to take this to the courts. I'm going to go as far to get this person's channel taken down because ultimately I don't like this space, right? And then I'm going to show you guys the receipts. So as I mentioned, again, neither are completely innocent. The harassment started, they started with the response videos back and forth. Then pot shots were made at Mrs. Brown Sugar, and pot shots were made at Kim Foster's boyfriend, and from there it got really, really ugly. Then, I think what really set people off is when Miss Kim Foster alluded to the passport bros being sex traffickers, and then literally started reaching out to politicians and started reaching out to different, her connections to allude to them being sex traffickers. At that point, you're pretty much asking for war. I'm not saying that I agree with it. But if you're a person that says, not only do I not like you, I'm going to use whatever political power or political leverage I have to take you down, i.e., let me reach out to my media connections. Let me now reach out to my politicians. Let me now tag Joe Biden. That's far beyond, this is just my opinion. You're now at the point where it's like, I'm trying to take this down. And Ms. Kim Foster has been very vocal about this. So again, I'm not saying that Mr. Obsidian's, all his actions were right and correct. But what I'm saying is this, to me, just wasn't about two content creators as much as it was, this is Black feminism versus the manosphere. It's this idea of, is a manosphere really a space where men are being free to express themselves and trying to find a reality where they fit? Or is it now, this is a space where misogynoir is growing and it's going to become this very volatile, violent space where they're going to be going after Black women? And like I said, many people are painting it as the latter. This is specifically why, when you look at this thing that Miss Kim Foster shared, this is just one example. Right here, it says, I told y'all these weird people are weird. This red pill influencer found my boyfriend's public social media on which he does not use his legal name. And sent this weird-ish to him on Instagram and Facebook. Y'all, I'm worried this man is obsessed with me because of the strange lies. So yada yada. So she basically goes on to say, look, Black men being weird on the internet is an epidemic. We need a cure. She tags Joe Biden, and then, like I said, she follows us up. She follows us up with some different interviews and some different lives. And so yeah. So we continue. Okay, so let's go on. Let me go continue. And then, oh, hey, I am Courtney Michelle's here. Hey, you're free to call in if you want. Let me see. So, Shade, do you know the real history of the Black manosphere? I've had different people. I had a BGS kind of give me a breakdown of the manosphere, because I know he's also one of the earlier influencers. So, I don't pretend to be I will not pretend to be the historian on the Black manosphere, because I think that would I couldn't do it justice. I will say that I've heard different things from BGS. I had like a whole live with him a little while back where he kind of gave me the rundown. You can check that out. And so I think that's going to be the best answer as far as whether or not I know the history of the manosphere. Okay. So, let me see. Courtney Michelle, if you want to call in, feel free to. I was just responding to the comment that you had made in my video because I thought it really brought up some good points I wanted to elaborate on, because like I said, I think that this is speaking to some larger points. Okay. And also, if you can't, no biggie. Like, no biggie at all, because I know this was a very last minute thing on my end. Okay. So as I mentioned before, moving beyond the personal attacks, this is political. That's really what it goes down to. Now, as I mentioned before, also, some people just, I think at the end of the day, do not like Mr. Obsidian. They just don't like him. Like, I don't know how else to put it. They really are not fans of him. And so I think partially you have people in the manosphere who were siding with Miss Kim Foster because they just wanted him off. But my bigger point, if we look at the way that this was handled, and then in my opinion, the steps that were taken to ensure that not only this man's channel was taken down, but it was clear that this man's channel is connected to a larger space associated with digital terrorism, associated with misogynoir, whatever. Again, like I said, this is not just two warring content creators. This is two warring ideologies. And I think it brings up this interesting question that has been, I think, up for debate for some years now, right? On whether or not the manosphere is a space where there is rampant misogynoir, there is rampant misogyny, there is rampant, hating of women, et cetera, and they need to be shut down and regulated, or whether or not the manosphere deserves to have freedom of speech and deserves to have their own space. Because ultimately, what we see happening is Black feminism. Kimberly Nicole Foster has made it incredibly clear, crystal clear, that she does not think this is a safe space, and that she will do everything within her power to ensure that the space is regulated, if not shut down. We saw this with the way that she mentioned the passport bros, alluding to them being sex traffickers and needing them to be regulated and pushing for that. We also saw that in the way that she has literally leveraged media, right? And then we also see this in the way that she reached out to certain politicians to say, hey, get rid of this space. These men are digital terrorists, using Mr. Obsidian as like a prime example, right? And so I think this question has been going on for quite some time, and whether or not the manosphere is indeed a really toxic space. Again, we've seen articles about this. There's been even movies. There's a report, I think, that the FBI released, if I'm not mistaken, a year ago. I reviewed it. We're connected the manosphere to incels, and then incels to shootings, mass shootings. And so this question has been around for quite some time. And I think situations like these really just continue to show and reveal the tension behind this. Now, again, I always say that anybody who was so quick to question the manosphere, anybody who was so quick to oh, hey, what's going on? Sorry, I'm just seeing some comments here. Okay. Anybody who was so quick to question, anybody who was so quick to, how do I say it, like completely just write off the entire manosphere as a male-hating, misogynistic space, hasn't really taken the time to sit down and listen to the talking points. Because I will say, when I first listened to a couple of people in the manosphere, I was definitely turned off. I will say that, because some people was just like, y'all do sound like you hate your mother. You sound like you haven't had a successful relationship in about 10 years. Like, these are some of the things I thought when I listened to a couple of content creators in the manosphere. But at the same time, there were some valid points raised that I could not deny. And then when you start to actually, again, listen to the thought leaders, and you listen to the intellectuals, the doctorates, the people who actually have the research behind it, you cannot deny that the research is overwhelming. So in my personal opinion, I still think this space is very necessary. I still think this space has value, and I think this space, should be considered as such. But I think it's very important to just remember that there, again, are powers that be who do not want this space in existence, and who will do everything within their power to try to silence that. And what does that look like? Is it something you should be afraid of? Is it something to be expected? Is it possible that the space needs to be more regulated? And if so, if the manosphere is regulated, does that mean we should also regulate the female channels? Because there are certainly misandrous female channels. So this is what I think this situations like these really tease out. Okay, so let's see in the comment section. It's crazy that they don't give. Okay, so I'm looking at some comments now. Sorry, guys. I wanted to finish my point. There. What's going on, everybody? Again, thanks for calling in. I'm Courtney Michelle. Let me see. This ain't about Black women. This is about what specifically happened to these two people that was flat out wrong, and trying to justify it is disgusting. Yeah. I don't know where she ever got into saying that I was justifying this. So look, maybe she left, but never once did I justify or saying anything was wrong. Did any of you guys ever hear me say that I justified that what Mr. Obsidian did or what Ms. Kim Foster did was wrong? I want to make it clear that I do not. In my opinion, I think both did things that were out of pocket. But my larger point is we can't negate the fact that Kim Foster is like a top ranking Black feminist. We can't necessarily negate the fact. And so even if we wanted to believe this is just between two people, the very fact that she has such a big influence and has so many people who look at her in media connections, it's impossible to remove her from the influence she has. And then the fact that she has literally said publicly that I want this space taken down. I don't know how to get around that. Now I know, like I said, some folks just don't like Mr. Obsidian. And I know I am Courtney Michelle, if you're still in the comments, I know you are not the biggest fan of him. I get it. Like, I completely get it. I'm just saying, as far as I'm looking at it, while this certainly both of these people are impacted, to me, this situation, I think, again, speaks to a larger point. That's my whole point. Like, nobody can sit here and tell me that the manosphere and Black feminists agree. Like, they're obviously warring politically. Even if we look at the Black political agenda, the 18-point Black political agenda, there are feminists out there who would be completely against that, because I think some of the policies would essentially undermine some of the advancements that feminists has made. So that alone, the political differences and the political ideologies of the manosphere and Black feminism alone puts them a little bit at odds. That's kind of my bigger point. So yeah, I'm like, I want to make sure nobody knew that I'm saying, oh yeah, she should have this, she should have that. I'm like, no, I don't agree with doxing people. I don't agree with, I really personally, I try very hard to stick with the ideologies. I try very hard to stick with what people are saying. I don't like getting into personal, oh, well, you're too short, you're too that, you're too bald, your hair is this. I'm like, that's inappropriate. Like, this, we're talking about points. So I don't justify that. I know that it happens in this space, and I know it's very easy for it to happen in this space, but I just want to make it clear that was not my intention. Okay. Yeah, Dr. T-Zone Johnson, I love his work. I've had the opportunity to talk with him a few times. He was one, I think his channel in particular was one that really got me thinking. Really, really, really got me thinking. I'm Courtney Michelle. I said you're welcome to call on. Never said defending herself is wrong. Yeah, never said that. Never said that her defending herself was wrong at all. My point is, neither of them, in my opinion, are without fault. You can't have, birth his boyfriend and Obsidian posted content about each other's respective partners. He said disparaging things about Miss Brown Sugar. Obsidian said disparaging things about him. To me, neither are without fault, right? Not to mention, it's like, you're kind of asking for, anytime you take an entire movement and say you are digital sex traffickers, you are Misogynoir, you hate your moms, and you are out to destroy us. Like, anytime you try to ascribe a space to terrorism, you're kind of asking for people to go after you. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm like, it kind of comes with the territory. And then also, what's so interesting to me about this whole thing? There's, a lot of people who are up in arms about this whole idea of like misogynoir, which I get. I don't appreciate misogynoir. I prefer that there be a respectful way of disagreeing, in my opinion. But I'm like, also, again, this is the same woman who also said, I'm not marching for Eric Garner. These are the same politics that said, I am not getting involved in Black male death. This has nothing to do with me. The same woman who used that opportunity said, I'm not marching. So again, when I say, we have to remember that there are a lot of different components here at play. This didn't just come out of nowhere, right? This, again, popular Black male feminist has said and done things that for a long time have actually infuriated men, including the manosphere. And so that kind of comes with the territory. So again, am I saying that what was done was right? No. But also, is it weird, or was it completely unprovoked? No. You got articles saying, I'm not marching for Eric Garner. Basically, forget about Black male death. That's going to piss people off. You got people saying, oh, the pastor bros, oh, they're sex traffickers, they're this, we need to regulate them, we need to shut the space down. That's going to make people mad. It's no longer about opinion when you are leveraging your actual powers. You're leveraging the media connections you have, doing articles. You're leveraging politicians to try to do that. It's no longer about just opinions. It's now about, I'm going to do whatever I can to take this platform down. And what does that mean? Now people are going to start fighting. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, to me, it's like, nobody is just, oh, this wasn't just like, she was just, walking in a garden randomly, and then this just big old vicious Black man just be. It's like, no, like, there's a history behind it. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm saying. So, okay. So, anyways, that's kind of my point. I actually did have, what's going on, Game Changer? I actually had I had some other things, but I see a couple of you guys actually here in the comment section. So let me drop that call in link again. And I've been rambling on. I would like to get some of your guys' feedback on this. Also, guys, if you're here, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and share some love. If you actually like what this content is about, it's been a while since I've gone on the live. Cash App, Venmo, everybody, y'all know the drill. So let me go on a quick break. And you guys feel free to call in. What's going on, Game Changer? So I'm gonna do a quick break, you guys. If you like what's going on, super chat, Cash App, Venmo, show some love, and we will go from there. Okay, a little more intermission. Okay, so I got a few in the back. Looks like I see Mr. Obsidian chilling back there. Let me double check, because for some reason I thought, I am not sure. I keep on hearing back and forth of like this whole thing of community guidelines on whether or not you can or cannot have somebody on the platform whose channel has been removed. I need to confirm that. What's going on, Game Changer? What is going on?
Hey, what's going on, Shay? How you doing?
Good. And originally I was going to review some of some of the live that you did. I think in response to the live that Dr. Thunder had when Obsidian was there, and then I think Am Courtney Michelle came and Mr. Z back in effect. But you're here, so I guess I don't need to do that anymore.
Oh, well, what aspect? Because I was talking about the conversation that Courtney and Obsidian was having.
Oh, well, because initially I was going to review the back and forth between Am Courtney Michelle and Mr. Z, because I thought that session to me was so interesting, because again, I think it speaks to these 2 points. You had basically one point that's like, look, this is abuse against some women, period. This is unacceptable. And I'm like, I disagree with that. Mr. Z's point is, do you understand that this woman is trying to silence the entirety of Black men? So it's like they're going back and forth on what to me seemed like 2 different ideological points. It never really seemed like they ever met, but it was like they were arguing different things, right? The personal here of like, Kim Foster, you shouldn't do this to her boyfriend. Mr. Z's like, she's trying to shut all the Black men down. Also, she's not completely innocent. So that's kind of the different arguments I've seen kind of going around connected to this whole thing.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you want, because I know Dr. Thunder had to take it down. If you want, I could set it up, because I did download it, and you can have your own copy of that. So
did he have to
email me on that?
Did he have to take it down for? Because that's where I'm like, I've been meaning to circle back. I'm kind of late, but I've been meaning to circle back with Obsidian. I know he said he wanted to talk and all that stuff, but I'm like, I'm a little bit confused in the community guidelines, because y'all know my channel. People are trying to take my channel down. So right now I'm like, I'm just trying to dot my I's and cross my T's.
Right.
But I know I've gotten his perspective on different things, and I've tried to represent it in my best of my ability, and I've gotten her perspective. I've tried to represent it to my best. But my bigger point is what I think this really means. And I hope that point is coming clear. It's like, yeah, these are 2 content creators, but she wants to get the Manosphere taken down. Let's just keep it a buck.
Well, yeah, a lot of women want the Manosphere taken down. Right. I mean, the Manosphere kind of threatens a lot of women out of their due place, or what they feel to be is their due place, and that is to have a significant amount of leverage in the sexual marketplace. things like feminism will not only make the majority of women unattractive to men, it will also make the women uninterested in men. At least they don't have the same enthusiasm towards them as they would like. Therefore, leaving the market open for women who would otherwise be considered less than desirable. That is the true agenda of feminism. They just don't want to admit it. So people like myself really bring that point to the forefront, and they don't like it. They don't like, that men are seeing through what they're trying to do, seeing through the veil and acting accordingly, so to speak.
Oh, okay. So I see Dr. Thunder takes down his live streams after 7 days, and being taken down has nothing to do with this. Okay, because I was wondering.
But Pablo Frescobar also took it down. I don't know if it's voluntarily taken down, because Pablo's interview with him was also removed.
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard he did an interview with the Green Gorilla I wanted to check out.
Okay.
I saw Miss Kimberly Nicole Foster post in her community guidelines, FYI, basically interviewing someone who's been removed is against community guidelines. I saw her do that. I literally saw her post it. And then I saw that back and forth that she had with Dr. Thunder, where he was like, hey, I would gladly bring you on. Look, I would love to have a conversation with Kimberly Nicole Foster. I don't know that she would be interested, but I would love to hear her perspective. I've had plenty of opportunities to talk with Obsidian. I would love to hear her point of view, right, on not only this matter, but I think why in particular she sees the Manosphere as a threat, and then how does she make sense of ultimately the different policies that they are pushing for to help improve the situation of Black men. So that's something I would love to have, or I'd love to see her have it with somebody. Now, I don't know.
I mean, I'm not familiar with her body of work, and I don't know if she interviews the opposition too often. But from what I've gleaned, and I know very little of her, she's against it for the same reason that a great many are against it, and that is, there's a market for Black misery. And when a Black man is miserable, he will take anything in order to end his misery, including, a wife or that he's otherwise would not be interested in. So, women, once again, it goes back to dating and mating advantage. It's like, okay, before I was looking for, a 9, but now I'm just looking for somebody to end my misery.
Right.
And unfortunately, throughout the history of Black people in this country, Black women have dealt with men who were, to no fault of their own, in life situations that made them miserable, and their only comfort in life was to, they were the only comfort in life. They got used to that position. They're not used to the CJ Greens of the world that are, that start off happy and come overconfident or just confident and say things like, I am the prize, I am the one that's valued. They're not used to stuff like that. They don't like it, and they don't like the machine, the Manosphere, or the red pill community that produces such men. People like Kevin Samuels that tell men that they are of value. They don't like that. It threatens their goals, their mating goals.
I certainly agree. And okay, Dini, thank you for letting me know. I had no idea my super chat option was gone. So
I wanted to tell you that too. Yeah, it only gives the option for members only, to gift a membership.
That is very strange. Okay, I need to look into that because I didn't change anything. So thank you guys for letting me know. Well, any of you guys, if you have Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, you can share some love there. And then I will be sure to check with YouTube. It's been a minute since I've been on live, so God only knows what happened. And y'all know I was dealing with some weirdness there. So okay, I will be sure to look into that after this live. But in the meantime, guys, if you have Cash App, Venmo, you want to share some love, you can find me there. But yeah, so you would know, I think you were absolutely right about ultimately this being a threat. Even if you want to remove the politics from it, right? Because now, last time I checked, there was an 18-point political agenda that has been put together for specifically the Black Manosphere. I don't know if there's like a political agenda that's organized for just the Manosphere in its entirety, but I know the Black Manosphere has come up with something. But aside from that, I think there being a space for men to have more of a voice, period, is not necessarily anything that we've seen in certainly Black America. I mean, since when? Since there's ever? Like, I'm trying to think,
Right.
is there ever been a time in you know, modern media where there's ever been that combating voice? Which, in my opinion, I think there should be space for both. I absolutely think I want to hear. I want to see a Color Purple movie, right? If
You
there is
do?
a black male version of a Color Purple movie, I want to see a version of Color Purple where a black man gets and you know, he gets incested by his aunts and his cousins, and then 18 he gets forced to marry an overbearing woman, and then you know, like, to me, I think I would be more open to a Color Purple movie if we heard it from the men's side, the men's perspective also, because now we're hearing both sides. I think that would
Look,
be more. Mm-hmm.
the closest movie I know of like that is Antoine Fisher.
Mm.
You know, it's he was, you know, taken advantage of as a at a young age,
Okay.
and you know, he grew up and, you know, he grew strength from the situation. So it is in a lot of ways, even though he didn't have an abusive wife, but it is in a lot of ways the inverse of Color Purple in a
Okay.
modern version. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. No, no. Fair point. Fair point. So we have the 18th letter here. We have Chaos Reign. What's going on, everybody?
Hey, shout out to you, Miss Shay. It's good to see
Hello.
Yeah. So what do you guys
Yeah.
have? You guys have anything on the topic?
you. Yeah, I'll let Chaos Rain go first. You go ahead, brother.
Well, the one thing I do want to add, I've been hearing that float around lately. If that was so engraved, they would have took off a lot of people off YouTube. That people that are very controversial, more than black men. Unfortunately, I will give you case in point from the Pearly, Fresh and Fit, and some other content creators. That people that are stark right racist, they've been gone a long time ago, but the channel still exists. Even to the point that some of them probably lost monetization, but they eventually will get it back. So I don't think that's factual, personally. Now, mind you, if you're at a certain level at YouTube, the only thing YouTube will do for people to have a certain subscriber base, they eventually email you to give you a disclaimer or give you a strike. But in regards to you have this, I'm taking it now because of business. That's how it works. You make them money, they're happy. Don't make them money, they're not going to be happy. So.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. 18th letter, what do you have?
And one other thing I want to say with Dr. Thunder, that was a good broadcast he had Obsidian. He only put it to his membership because people got paid to watch that. So, yeah.
Oh, you
Oh, I
have
thought it was gone, so he still has it up. Okay.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, the rule is with him is what he does now every week. He'll keep up for a week and then he pulls the members only for people to pay it. You know, it's not completely gone. But if you're not a member, you will not know that.
Good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. That's smart. 18th letter,
well, not really, because remember what YouTube does, they keep things in the archives in the cloud for months, so they monitor everything. So people think that you have a person they will never know. Oh, they'll know. They keep every record. They're like the if you remember watch the movie Eagle's Eye, their eyes everywhere. So I'll let somebody speak.
Yeah, what do you got? 18th letter, Michael McCoy. What are your guys' thoughts
Uh,
on the whole thing?
Well, my thoughts on it, Miss Shay. I haven't really been keeping up too much with Obsidian and Kim Foster situation. I've only been hearing bits and pieces of information here and there, but I do know at one particular point, Miss Foster as well made a statement of trying to get the FBI involved into the situation with Passport Bros, as far as literally, and this just goes to show you the hypocrisy in a lot of what she says. And when you look at the history between like of the Manosphere, no, we don't agree with everyone in the Manosphere. No, we don't. Some of our opinions differ from each other, and that's always been there. It has been disagreements between people within the Manosphere. But when you look at, if you want to say calling somebody a hate group, we've all done our research and due diligence on the divestors, and we've seen a vast difference in speech compared to men in the manosphere versus women who was literally wishing deletion on black men, pretty much saying neo-Nazi rhetoric and white supremacist rhetoric. And even some of the people now that it's really a domino effect, because ever since Cynthia G's channel has been gone, now I knew it was going to be people that was going to be looking into trying to figure out ways to get rid of certain people that they disagree with on this side channel as well. And the funny thing is, a lot of the other more high channels that capitalize off of this anti-black man rhetoric, a lot of them, when they saw that Cynthia G's channel was being taken down, a lot of them hurried and deleted their videos, and swept their catalogs clean of a lot of videos that got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views, where they was pretty much spewing anti-black male hate rhetoric and sending giving misinformation to a lot of women that follow their channel. So this is obviously what it is. You have a lot of these people that sit there and say things like, oh, we just want these, y'all dusties, y'all this, y'all that. But the second that we make our own spaces or we go our own way, then all of a sudden it's trying to get channels taken down. It's trying to, send the FBI and make negative, make negative videos on the Passport Bros, argue with women overseas while disparaging them in their country, and all types of stuff. So it goes to show you that this is about control. This is about power, and the same misandry that they deny, they are obviously, aware of, and they are aware that they have a sense of control within the black community, and they don't want other black men getting any bright ideas that there may be something, other options that they can exercise, versus having to deal with a lot of this nonsense here. As far as the misandry, the neo-Nazi rhetoric, the air superiority, and just outright projecting their insecurities onto black men. Everything that they say black men are is in turn what they do, but they don't realize it. They will say, no, you all hate black men. I mean, you all hate black women, when in reality, a lot of these women hate black men. And they will say things, oh, you all just want other women to elevate your status. No, that's never been the case with black men at all. That's one of the most hated things that a majority of people of other groups don't like to see. But in reality, as we've seen with a lot of these other people, a lot of these other, divestment channels and different things like that, when they date white men in particular, it's about status. It's about, everything is about being validated, and they feel that black men cannot do anything to validate them. So they have a sense of hatred for black men for that, and they project it on to black men. Also, the fact that they feel that black men have more options than they do, which is something that they dislike greatly. But I'll let the other brother speak. I've held the mic a little too long, so.
No, all good. I've always found it interesting. I mean, I even ran across something the other day from a black feminist where it was like, until patriarchy is gone, and men should pay for stuff, basically. I was like, wait, what? She was referring to dating standards. She was like, until the patriarchy is demolished, we can't accept low value dating and, mating or something like that. And I'm like, wait, what? So you're saying that you hate patriarchy, but you still want to maintain the aspects of patriarchy that you want in the romantic relationships. And it's like, it's these little inconsistencies that we see all the time.
Not only that, the higher value, and I'm assuming that you mean by that wealthier men,
yes,
are the patriarchs. That's a very weird thing to say. It's like, yeah,
like, what is it?
Until patriarchy is done, we are only going to date men in power, which is a patriarchy. That's
right.
very weird.
Like, what? like it made. I may have to go. I may have to bring it up and like review because I showed that to my husband and he was like, my brain. I just lost a few brain cells reading that. Like what? That makes no sense. But
Yeah, no, I mean, well, it does make sense because, I've often said until white supremacy is over, I'm only going to support white businesses. It makes about as much sense as that.
well, the thing
Let me say this.
The thing was, I was looking at the comments and I'm like, you have to understand this makes total sense in female logic, even though the point made no sense. Most women, no matter their political background, want men to pay for stuff. So this is why there was no pushbacks in the comments section.
Yeah. That's weird. Yeah.
Let me say this. The problem that these people have with trying to stop the passport bro movement in the manosphere is that they understand that they're losing power now. Like let me say for instance, let me use this as an example. White people white people are losing power now. The biggest mistake that white people could have made was letting Biden become president, because now he's going to let a whole bunch of migrants into this country that ain't going to do nothing that's going to support white supremacy for a time period. But when they get what they want, they're going to turn their backs on white people just like they turn their backs on black people. But to get back to the original topic, black women are losing power now. They understand that they don't have the fallout guide to go back to, the guy to come to, that after they get pregnant by some Pookie and Ray, that they doing nothing but ran through them. They understand they don't have the fallout guy no more, and they're losing power, and they're being exposed like white supremacy every single day. These divestors, these baby mamas, these hyenas, these hyenas that support the Ghanacracy, they all being exposed every single day. So they're losing power, and they don't know how else to deal with it. When you in power for a long time, you don't know how to deal with losing it. So
okay, so you have to excuse. Truthfully haven't been as involved as I wanted to. I'm literally talking to y'all and right now talking to a YouTube specialist, so please bear with me. But I've had Obsidian in the back chilling there. I wanted to double check and make sure that I wasn't breaking any community guidelines by bringing him on. The YouTube specialist just confirmed that I'm okay. So I'm going to bring on Obsidian and think he has something to say in regards to this whole topic. And let me see. And then also, guys, real quick, my super chats were not working for some reason. I just got that fixed. So if you refresh or if you guys leave and go back in.
Yeah. If you never do live streams in a while, make sure always you go live, check your phone, Shay, to make sure you have the super chat available. Because if you take a break for more than 3 to 6 months, that could be problematic. And I think you took a break like 6 months, so you can't. That's what I tell people. If you're doing live streams, if you're not doing it every day, or you're very popular every month, once or every 2 months, do not take half the year. Never do that.
It should be working now. So you guys, if you guys refresh or check now, you should see a super chat. Somebody let me know if you guys see. I see it on my end, but y'all let me know in the comment section if you do see super chat, and like, share, subscribe, show some love to your favorite content creators as always. So I'm gonna bring in. It looks like I got another. Okay, thank you, Game Changer. So we should be good to go now. It's working now. Shout out to you. Okay, so we're gonna bring on Mr. Obsidian. I do know, context. I do know this has been a rather, heated back and forth. And my overall goal here is not I'm not here to try to talk about how somebody looks or their boyfriend, or like, I don't like to get down in the gutter in that. Right now we're speaking to ideology. And my really bigger question here is whether or not the manosphere continues to be a threat, right, to the powers that be, whether they continue to be a threat to Black feminism. That's ultimately my goal here. So I just want to make that clear. I'm not here to sit and talk about Kimberly's dress size, her shoe size, how her hair looks. No, that's not that's not the goal. So let me just make that crystal clear. Okay, so I'm gonna have Mr. Obsidian. Looks like I think another ToyahTheTutor coming on. We can go from there. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I am good. Sorry, you have to forgive me for having you back there. I wanted to make sure with the YouTube, YouTube. I'm trying to dot my I's, cross my T's. So they confirmed. So we should be good to go.
No worries, no worries. No, everything's fine. I kind of enjoying being notorious now. I truly am the notorious MOA, and it's kind of cool. It kind of gives you some cachet, a bad boy cachet, badass cachet. He's been banned from YouTube, that sort of thing. And it makes people wonder, well, what has he did? What has this man done that makes him like, public enemy number one? But I have fun with stuff like this. I'm always an eternally optimistic person, and things are never as bad as they seem. That's one thing I've learned in life. Studying a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, business people, military leaders, coaches. One of the lessons I've learned from them and studying them over the years, both up close and personal, and reading their accounts, their biographies and whatnot, is that things are never quite as bad as they seem. In that moment, you kind of have to take a step back and look at everything. And actually, I truly feel liberated. I feel like Agent Smith in the Matrix, kind of thanking Neo for setting me free. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. And with regard to the whole personal thing, I just want to make something clear. I did not start that. KNF did. And KNF did not with me, but with my lady friend, who was merely responding to what she said in the public square. The Black Manosphere will always be a threat to some Black women, because some Black women believe that the public square, which is now in a virtual space, the digital public square, should be their personal sounding board, that they should be able to go into the public square, say whatever they want to say about whoever they want to say it, and should have to deal with no blowback. And that is delusional. If you want to be in the public square as a public figure and you want to have your say, that's fine. But other people have the right to respond. And if you cannot handle that, you need to find another line of work. This entire dust up got started because a Black woman calls another Black woman a grifter and a pick-me because she merely disagrees with her. Now, I don't know about anybody else. To me, words mean a lot because I earn my daily bread by words. I've been writing since 2009. I've got 2 books out. One of them a #1 bestseller. I sell my words all the time. Words have meaning to me. Grifter means that you're a fraud. You're a con man. Okay? And a pick-me is basically the Black woman's way of saying a stepford wife. Okay? That's essentially the just like with Black men using the word simp, really what they mean is they're saying you're henpecked, you're a yes man, you're a brown noser. So the issue here, and I want to make sure I properly frame this. Kimberly Nicole Foster makes a video about Brittany Renner. She calls her a pick-me and a grifter. She does not lay out a cogent argument as to why Brittany Renner is wrong. Brittany Renner says, if you want to attract a man of any consequence, it behooves you to put your best foot forward. Take a few days and go to the gym. That's her argument. Okay, if you disagree, deal with the argument. Why the need to call her names? By definition, that is an apex logical fallacy. You're going against the man, or in this case, against the woman. Go against her argument. If you disagree, if you're saying getting a man ain't that important, okay. If that's going to be your argument, fine. If you say you don't need to go to the gym to get a man, okay, if that's going to be your argument, fine. But to call her names, one black woman to another, when the argument, the premise is that you're for black women, is in itself deeply problematic. My lady friend did not attack Kimberly Nicole Foster. My lady friend merely asked a question. She's listening to all of this, not hearing a cogent argument. She said, well, what's the deal here? I mean, is she jealous of her or something? That's what got it all started. That's what got it started. So that we're clear. There are a whole lot of actual facts that some of the loudest voices in the room are out here popping off about and do not know what they're talking about. And I know why they're making all of those or popping off the way that they do. They're just not being honest about it. For example, I would respect Courtney Michelle's position if she would simply say, you know what, Obsidian, I really feel some kind of way about the fact that you went to bat for just Pearly things. I can respect that. I'm like, okay, fair enough. But here's the problem. One. I didn't do anything for just Pearly things that I also hadn't done for Courtney Michelle. I had them both on my platform. I took a lot of slings and arrows for both of them. When everybody else in the Black Manosphere was going in on Courtney for being a chameleon, I was the one person standing up in defense of her. How soon we forget. And let me say something else, number two. I find it ironic that Courtney wants to go to the mat for someone who does not hesitate to call you a pick-me if you dare to disagree. Yet and still, Pearl has never called any black woman a pick-me. Ever. But she's public enemy number one, though. That's public enemy number one. Right?
I'm just listening to your point. I mean, you are fully aware, because I want you to be able to finish your argument. I mean, you are fully aware that you created a lot more black female enemies post Pearly, right? I mean, this is,
and let's get to the reason why. Because I simply decided with Pearl. But all of those people that had a problem with me, they didn't have a problem with me when they were making use of the same platform. Now, did they? They didn't have a problem then. And look at the people who is actually using the word pick me. It ain't Pearl. The argument against Pearl was that she was going in on black women. Okay, got it. Who's going in on black women right now? Who's trying to destroy other black women right now? Who's trying to run other black women out of employment, out of polite society? You shouldn't be in social justice work. If I have anything to do with it, you need to be ran out of town on a rail. Who's doing that? Is that Pearl? Or is that another black woman?
If I may, because I think if we go the Pearly conversation, that's a whole different topic entirely. And I want to.
I respectfully disagree, Sade. I respectfully disagree. That is the crux of it with regard to Courtney. I would respect it if she just said that.
Oh, well, I don't want to speak for Courtney. She's obviously here. She can speak for herself. Like I said, from what I've observed, I know post Pearl, a lot of people were just like, including some men within the Manosphere, right? You are fully aware that, and you said you kind of somewhat delight in being the, I don't want to say the underdog, but whatever term you might use.
Well, I'm very iconoclastic and eccentric. That's for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So I don't want to sit here and speak for I Am Courtney Michelle, but yeah, I do know that situation certainly broke a lot of alliances. Now, I guess with respect to now we're fast forwarding between you and Kimberly Nicole Foster, right? And my how I was looking at this, I've explained this clearly in the video before, that I really saw this as two warring ideals.
Yeah. Kind of like a Benjamin R. Barber. I don't expect
absolutely.
You to
and because
R. Barber.
Mm-hmm, and because both you and Kimberly Nicole Foster
civilizations.
I'm sorry?
Are you familiar with Benjamin R. Barber?
I am not.
Benjamin R. Barber was, because I believe he's now deceased, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Around the time of September 11th, the terror attacks. That there's a tie in here because of the idea that I am a digital terrorist. Okay.
Okay.
So he being him and Stephen Ambrose, these are very prominent historians of that period, early 21st century. And what's interesting about this is that Benjamin R. Barber had a book called The Clash of Civilizations. So you had like the Islamic East going against the Christian West, that sort of thing. And when I saw, and your video was excellent, by the way, of all the people who have weighed in on this thus far, from on the outside looking in, I consider yours to be the most reasoned and measured and fair and balanced take on it thus far. When you said that, you said to me, going beyond the personalities here, it seems like there's a kind of tug of war between the two ideologies, and it brought back to mind for me Benjamin R. Barber.
Right. Now,
yeah, that's the whole thing with that. And if I can address Courtney, last time I checked, my dear, there is no congressional law that gives you the number of number of lives you can do. You're not limited by the number of lives or videos that you can do on a particular topic, or for that matter, a particular individual. You are a public figure. And if you cannot handle people having they say about you, you need to go in another line of work. It really is that simple. I think, and they are now starting to be papers written about this. Academically, academics have found that the more women go into academia, the more censorship climbs. Censorship, which is anti-American. Okay, censorship. Now you can make a case, well, YouTube is a privately held company, they can do whatever they want to do. I don't disagree. But that still doesn't change the fact that as more women enter the university, as more women enter various zones that have heretofore been male predominant, it's also being documented that it becomes more censorious.
Now,
So,
if I may,
yeah.
I know, I think it was Dr. Thunder. I saw him mention this in one of his lives, that him being a professor, my dad was also a college professor. I think he said that Black female college professors outnumber Black male by over 20,000. I don't know the exact number, but it's rather significant. So, again, I think that's important when we going back to these warring ideologies, going back to, okay, what percentage of Black women are going to college or attempting on some level versus Black men, and who now that pipeline from what's happening within the education to now media, which we know is very much a pipeline, and how I think this all connects to these warring ideas. I'm curious if you've had a chance to look at the Black women political agenda, if you are in agreement with those, and if you think that those policies, again, very much would be like kryptonite, for lack of a better term.
So just so I make sure I understand what you said, because kind of said it kind of quickly. Did you say Black men's political agenda, or did you say Black women's?
No, the 18-point Black male political agenda. I mentioned this.
Yes.
I made this in the video, and I said that this to me really being like a pretty clear metric of the distinguishment between what's going on in the Black manosphere, what's going with Black feminism, right? Like the Black manosphere has been organized enough to at least come up with those points. I know there's, people have different ideals.
Yeah.
That to me is pretty clear. That's a pretty clear way of saying, hey, we are willing to rally for policies and things that are going to help benefit us.
Yeah.
And does that, or I'm assuming that directly is going to go against policies that have benefited women at the expense of men. That to me seems like this is a clear example of two warring ideals.
Yeah. I'm very familiar with the political agenda. I've known Dr. Tia Johnson for many years, and I actually had him on my show when I was on YouTube. And this was when Stacey Abrams was running for the governorship for the second time in 2022. So I actually had him on, and we had a very good show talking about that agenda. Do I think that that is part of the mix here? I do. And how do I believe that? Tying it back to Kimberly Nicole Foster. So you showed some of her propaganda where she's openly calling for Joe Biden to intervene.
Yeah, that's
And my response to that is I'm shaking in my boots. Joe Biden, the least of his worries is a brother from Philly with a big mouth with a very big mic. He's got much bigger problems to attend to.
I mean, fair.
Okay. So I'm really shaking in my boots there. But seriously, black men and black women politically are reaching a point where we can decide presidential or otherwise national elections, certain governorships, certain congressional offices, things like that, definitely a presidency, because black men are increasingly peeling away from the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
To the point that it can be significant on the GOP side.
Mm-hmm.
Black women vote for the Democrat Party to the tune of like almost 100%. And we all remember the infamous incident, and this was also a few years ago, with Ice Cube, the legendary Ice Cube. You would think he would be one of the OG red pills. And we all saw the look of shock on his face on that Fox Soul show, Cocktails with Queens, boasting, among others, such luminaries as Vivica A. Fox and Lisa Ray, berating him because his plan for Black America, which he funded out of his own pocket, hired Black economists and other, sociologists and so on and so forth, and political scientists, funded it himself. They berated him because they didn't have a set aside affirmative action-esque section specifically carved out for black women. And when he said, wait a minute, black people means black men and black women and black children, they said, no. We have specific needs and interests that we need you to mark out in your plan for us. That, and the look on Ice Cube's face, the look of shock, and I would even say dismay and even horror, is one to die. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Here we got a man in Ice Cube, NWA fame, America's Most Wanted fame, and he's got the look of horror on his face because he now realizes that many, not all, but many black women do not see themselves as politically aligned with black men.
Yeah.
That was his true red pill moment. He got red pilled right there. Yeah. He of all people. So yes, I think that and I say this a lot, I hang out a lot these days over on Clubhouse. Been there just over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I love telling the ladies over there, and no brothers really challenge me on this, and I think deep down because they know I'm right. I say over there, a lot of the ladies have a difficult time with the black manosphere, and really the black manosphere has really gone mainstream. If you really think about it, the red pill has gone mainstream. The manosphere has gone mainstream. The black manosphere has gone mainstream. And this is the reason why Kimberly Nicole Foster, even in her own words, said that she achieved a Pyrrhic victory. That's what she said. I didn't say it. She did. She understands it's kind of too late for all of this. It's gone viral. We've inceptioned too many people. I say to these ladies over on Clubhouse, I said, for a lot of black women are really not aware of just how much black men attenuate their speech around them. They have no idea. And listening to the black manosphere and it's seeping out into the wider black public via social media. So it's seeping into Clubhouse. It's seeping into TikTok. It's seeping into Instagram. It's seeping into Facebook. Remember, TikTok, 60% of its users are female. Remember, Facebook, Instagram, heavily female.
Yeah.
So it's seeping into this, and it's a shock to a lot of black women.
Yeah.
It's a real shock because they never the stuff that the black men say around them is so different. And what I say to those ladies over on Clubhouse is, the black manosphere is like a raw feed into the black male mind. You hear what black men really think.
Yeah.
Because a lot of black men aren't really telling you what they really think.
Right. So Mr. City, I do want to I do want to make sure I give a chance for Toya the tutor to chime in a bit. And I know you have a lot more to say, but I just want to make sure I give her a chance. I think Game Changer probably has some things to add because I know there's multiple points that you've gotten up to this point. So I just want to make sure they have a chance to address it or add anything in before we move on, if you don't mind bearing with me.
No, please go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Yes, Toya the tutor, if you have anything you would like to add, then Game Changer, I know you wanted to mention something. Also, Dr. Thunder, if you're here and you want to call in, feel free to do so. Yeah, I think Edward Anderson said he might be calling in a bit if time permits. So all good. But anyways, yeah, feel free to chime in if you have anything. Toya the tutor.
Hi, Shay. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I love your platform.
Well, thank you.
Been watching for as long as Mr. Z sent me over here.
Okay.
I honestly just wanted to piggyback a little bit on what Obsidian was saying with reference to what this space serves as, because I am here as a direct beneficiary of what he was just referring to, having the exposure as, just being a Black woman who is also an aspiring wife, being able to hear these conversations and make some changes and corrections to the way that I comport myself out here in the world has been very beneficial for me. And so this power that I think Black women have convinced themselves of having, which I believe we are really only feigning, serves us absolutely no purpose in the long run with reference to where we want to be. So I am not for the silencing of Black men. I'm very much a proponent of the Black manosphere and what's going on in this space, as well as what you do, Shay Sade. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I could not agree more. I mean, I've mentioned, I think fundamentally too, because of my spiritual beliefs in the position that men play in society, the position that God created men to play in society and the household. I'm like, no matter how you try to spin it, no matter how new we try to change society and change gender norms, I'm like, there's something about the laws of the universe that just don't ever change. And I'm like, I feel like anytime we get away from the laws that God established, then chaos ensues. And we have a prime example. Just look at the Black community. When the male leadership and headship has been removed and it's been undermined, we see what that chaos looks like. So this is why I fundamentally believe that it is imperative to have the Black male voice. Not to mention, anytime any group of people is silenced for years or decades upon decades upon decades, that is going to create imbalance. It's going to create anger. It's going to create tension. It's going to create resentment. And that has been the Black male's voice for essentially the entirety of the American experience. So it's like, of course, if they feel like they've been silenced for so long, when they finally get to speak, it's not going to be this pretty, very elaborate and dainty expression. Right. It's probably going to be very aggressive. It's going to be very gruff. There's going to be a lot of passion. There's going to be a lot of hurt, pain, trauma, all of that. That, in my opinion, is actually a part of the healing process. If you truly believe in wanting to, especially heal the community, you have to give a space for people to be able to express themselves freely, without shame, without judgment. Like, just let it be. That to me is first step. So that's why I think it's important. It doesn't mean I agree, and it doesn't mean that you think you stay in a place of trauma and shame and hating women or hating men or whatever. But you need to be able to express those things freely if there's any chance of there being any change or any mutual understanding. So that's how I look at it. What is going on? I see Dr. Thunder joining in. What's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. Okay, now, do you have anything you want to add? And then I know Game Changer, you had something that you wanted to add, I'm assuming.
Yeah, good to be seen. How I long time watcher of your content, was disappointed to see the powers that be try to end your YouTube career, but I was happy to see your triumphant return.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and what you were just talking about with respect to certain godly principles that have been ignored, replaced with
What's going on?
replaced with other things. I always say, regardless as to if you don't like religion, you don't like organized religion, you don't like Bible thumpers, you don't like whatever pejorative you can use for those that are religious, at least you have to admit that if we had done it the way the book says, we'd be in a much better situation.
No lies told. No lies told.
No. But yeah, I had Obsidian. Good to see you, man. Game changer. What's happening?
Hey, what's up, Dr. Thunder?
Hey, what's going on, Doc?
Yeah, I had Obsidian on my channel a couple weeks ago, and some sort of minions of one that shall not be named came over, and a lot of trolling and whatnot on, especially in comments, and it's just it's very silly. It's very silly that you can't have an open conversation with someone of a differing perspective.
Right.
I don't understand what that is. It used to be. I mean, I enjoy having conversations with people that I don't agree with. I learn a lot that way, and I don't think that name calling and insinuating that because you collaborated with a particular person, that means that you're also mired in the same filth and all that kind of stuff. I don't understand what purpose that sort of talk serves. But unfortunately, a lot of folks don't have that perspective, and unfortunately, many of my colleagues in the academia also don't have that perspective. It's a lot of groupthink, a lot of saying the same things by people that are obvious plants only because they happen to look different. But as I said before, they're saying all the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. Okay, real quick. Okay, guys, I don't know. I've seen it's ghetto here and there. I don't know what's really going on, but can we just be nice to folks, y'all? Like, let's just try to not be starting no fights. This is
Is Courtney down there kicking up dust? Is she still kicking up dust?
I have no idea. Let me see. It says it. I just said
I'm
shade
teasing Courtney.
and then everything blows up. I'm like, what? Okay, because partially I've been just listening to y'all. I'm going back to the comment sections and then I'm seeing it's ghetto. I'm like, what is going on? So yeah, no, please nobody be starting no fights, no yo mama jokes, no body shit, none of that. Like, let's just try to keep it chill, people. Like,
Wait, no body shaming.
Quickly, real quickly. Also, I wanted to thank you, Game Changer, for the 5. Thank you, C Gully, for the 5, and then thank you, Black Thought, for the 5. It says some support from a shadow viewer. Keep up the good work, young ladies. Stay balanced, y'all. Thank you so much again, guys. If you were here, like, share, subscribe. I've been in here an hour and 30 minutes, and I have $15 in super chat. So this is why people who want to sit here and say that talking to men means that you're just rocking in the dough and like lying to these people. I'm like, y'all don't understand what this is about. I do this because I actually believe in it. That doesn't mean that like every single video I'm getting sent billions of dollars. Like, y'all are lying. It's easier to lie to women and make more money. Okay. Like, but anyways, if y'all like what this is about, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, cash app, show support to your favorite content creators. That really helps us do what we're doing, because it's not always easy, especially when you got people out here trying to take your channel down. So okay, so I wanted to mention that. Now, Game Changer, I know there's been a lot of things said up to this point. If you want to weigh in, and then we can keep it pushing.
Yeah, I wanted to weigh in on something that the 18th letter was saying earlier about the connection between Black women and white supremacy, particularly
Okay.
Black feminists and white supremacy.
Mhm.
I would assert that Black women are the beneficiaries of white supremacy in a number of ways. I mean, you got to think as far as like general liberties and freedoms. These things are something for women that is in the highest abundance that it has ever been in since the history of mankind. You know, no other civilization has given women so many freedoms and liberties
Yeah.
as in modern Western society. They're not going to rock that boat. Anybody, any Black woman who backs feminism, and I'm looking at you, Courtney, who backs feminism at the same time claims to be pro-Black is lying. They do not want to topple the white supremacy system because they will be, you know, getting rid of the white patriarchy, and they don't know if the next regime is going to give them the same liberties that the previous regime did. In fact, they almost certain know that, you know, Black men is not going to give them. No one has ever given women as many freedoms as they did, as white men has did under white supremacy. So the notion that they're going to try to topple it is false. And the notion that they are going to try to change it or they're working to the advantage of Black people is also false. These are things that they do. These are the strategy is to get Black men against white supremacy so they can get in with the Black man on some enemy of my enemy thing. You know, they just point you in that direction, like, oh yeah, the white man is your enemy, and you know, I am your sister at arms. No, you're not. You know, not if you're a feminist, you're not. So just wanted to point that out. And the reason why I brought up Courtney's name, and this goes into something that she didn't really coin, but she backed it up thoroughly. A phrase that she said, talking about leveraging the box. And basically, what that means is leveraging sex to get what you want from a man. Now, this goes into what I was saying earlier about banking on Black male misery. Only a man who is sexless and miserable will allow himself to be leveraged in that way. See, they can't really do that with a guy who I don't know, has girlfriends internationally or something like that, you know, or has sexual availability amongst other races and things like that. They need the man to be, one, committed to 13% of the female population, and two, have that 13% use their sexuality against him to where he is miserable and the only comfort that he gets out of life is between her legs. Then he's ready.
So I am not familiar with that comment. If Courtney Michelle's here, I will have her weigh in.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it again.
The topic. So you're saying the topic of. I'm trying to understand the point. You're saying leveraging the box to basically to get the man to do what you want.
Okay, so the topic came up on a channel, Unsolicited Security Boss, and she asked Trill from Crew Season,
Okay.
what should women do in order to, you know, become good wives, etc., or, you know, to become wives. She didn't say good because it's not their intention to be a good wife. And well, and Trill said they need to leverage the box, meaning leverage sex. So now you actually have a good thing. You actually did it the right way. You didn't leverage the box on your husband. You actually became a good woman, and he became a good man for a good woman. You became a good woman and you found a good man. That would be the obvious solution to this problem. But since becoming a good one, yes, I would never move on because that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Yes, and don't get me wrong. I'm not going to put your picture up next to porn and talk crap about you. And I'm not going to take a picture of myself next to your boyfriend and say who got the better suit. I'm not going to do that because I'm not a lunatic. I am going to, when the topic comes up, I am going to point out the fallacy in it, you know. And it probably it's been 2 years, and probably by now you kind of see why I feel so passionately about it, you know. So
yeah, 2 years. Okay, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, this happened 2 years ago.
So yeah, so I guess I'm trying to figure out what maybe you were just. I'm assuming you're making reference to just an overall concept in feminism. I think that was the point.
Well, I'm making an overall.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm looking. It looks like okay. I don't like naming names, but I'm Courtney Michelle in Latin explaining. Can y'all be chill? Can y'all play nice? Because I'm like, I'm starting to see these comments. I'm like, ooh wee. Yeah, can we be a little chill
Well,
right now?
well, well, well. If you could do
Oh,
this,
huh?
if they cannot behave themselves and look like moderators, I'm putting nobody in timeout. You could shut the chat room,
Yeah, I'm gonna need.
or you could shut
Oh,
the chat room.
moderators.
If they can't respect and keep it frame, shut the chat room down. That
I
would,
used to have moderators, and I don't know where they went, but it's been a minute.
yeah,
since
you might shut the chat room if they're not going to behave themselves in the chat room.
Yeah, this is interesting.
That's overkill. But no, the reason why I brought it up, and this isn't to take random shots at Courtney. The reason why I brought it up is because remember earlier I was talking about how they are vested in the misery. People like Kimberly Foster, they're vested in misery, and they offer comfort to a miserable population. That's been their mating strategy since emancipation, or perhaps even during slavery. But and this is a continuation of that strategy. That's what I was getting at.
So I like to just jump right in for a moment because I would like it to stay focused on the issues, and I'm going to give some uncharacteristic grace here by taking the high road.
Yes.
But it doesn't. It's not without limits. So let's try to stop with the sneak disses. It's very unmanly. I'm just for whoever it applies. Let's instead stick to the issues. Let's try to respect the hostess here.
Thank you.
And let's try to comport ourselves as men and not
as children.
Female facsimiles thereof. That's all I would ask.
Okay, let's not sneak this while telling others not to sneak this. Shay Sade, have I disrespected you?
No. Sorry, I'm like
Okay.
honestly.
Yeah, no worries.
No. I probably haven't been as good in the comment section. My goal in general, just so you guys know, I always want to make sure that people leave feeling respected. No matter what your point of view, that's really important to me. Now, I know like
I couldn't agree more, Shay.
Yes,
but I'm not trying to sneak this anyone. I'm just asking for a degree of civility. It's not necessary to go and take shots at other people that are on the dais, that are invited guests just like you. So let's try to stick to the issues, because I mean we really don't have to go there. Let's just stick to the issues. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some moderators back in.
no, I get it, but
Shay, check
let me ask you this.
Yes.
Do you agree with the statement that public figures are subject to ridicule?
Do I agree with the statement that public? Absolutely, I think it comes with the territory. I don't.
Absolutely, right. So I mean, why would somebody who believes that whine about civility?
Well, no, fair enough. So, do you consider yourself a public figure?
Chaos Reign.
Do you consider yourself a public figure?
Chaos Reign.
Hold on, Chaos Reign, hang on. Game changer. Do you consider yourself a public figure? Yes or no?
Okay.
Okay. So you want to bitch up the way you did over on Pablo's now?
No. Okay. So let's just rewind real quickly, because I know the point here is ultimately what we were discussing with respect to misogyny, misogynoir, the Black Manosphere, all of that. Now, anything outside, if there's other personal side beefs, I'm not fully aware of.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that that's fully connected to this particular topic. I want to make sure we stay on topic.
I agree. I agree. I think that it would be much better served if we did that. So let's move forward.
Yes,
please. Yes, please.
So yeah, I mean, I was on topic, just to remind you.
Yeah. Well,
you were making snide remarks about me, and if you want to put that under the rubric of, well, you're a public figure, so you should be fair game. Fair enough. I asked you a direct question. Would you consider yourself a public figure? If you don't, then what you say on public forums as a frequent contributor should not be considered, because I could say the same thing about you. Now, if we want to do that, game changer, we can have that. I think it's lunacy that every time you appear on a public platform with other Black men, you got to talk about your penis. I think that's lunacy. But
Yeah.
I mean, you don't hear me complaining about that.
Okay, so moving on, guys. This is maybe why I haven't done a live in a couple of months. It's been a minute, and I'm like, maybe I just reminded why I started doing pre-recording.
One thing I want to entwine. Shay, Black Man Brutally Honest put some in the chat room. I'm not sure.
What'd you say?
I think Black Man Brutally Honest put some in the chat room. I can't find the quote. He just at me a while ago.
I saw.
Obsidian, did you read the chat?
Wait, I saw shareholder. Thank you, shareholder. Says don't stop believing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Drago001. Courtney acting in the beginning. You don't say. I'm assuming that's a joke. I'm gonna assume that you rock with Courtney because I know some of y'all were just making fun, like. I know. So let's just, yes. Man, it's been a minute. He said James. I may be going back to pure records after this. Anyways, okay, Edward's here. Trying to keep things on topic. Now let's just keep it a buck. We all already know that Game Changer and Mr. Obsidian have a difference of opinion. This goes without saying. Now I know Dr. Thunder, you're very much a neutral. I think you're very much more of a, even if I don't agree, I'm going to create a space for people to share. I'm more with you on that. I don't know where Chaos Reign is, but my goal is to make sure that again everybody leaves feeling like they are respected and that their humanity is intact. Now, if you guys want to outside this platform go and start, boxing verbally, have fun. But let's just try as much as possible to keep things in rein if we can, please. Edward Anderson, what do you got?
Sorry about that. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
I
haven't listened to nothing y'all had to say. It's been on mute, so I'm not trying to be stupid, but I came in here saying what I said in the chat. I know what the topic's about. I heard a couple minutes of you saying before people came up on the panel. I heard your last uploads that you've done kind of on this topic, so I am familiar with it. But as far as the back and forth, I did have some commentary in the chat, and that's kind of what I'll talk about right now. First thing to me, I see this, and you can kind of steer me back if you think this ain't nothing to do with what you're talking about, but I'm pretty sure this is within the topic like you want. So as far as the quote unquote the differences of opinion, not quote unquote, because that is serious, so I won't take nothing away from that. Here's the thing: these are two different issues. There is, for Harriet, because that's what I know her from, going all the way back to that. After her, she need to go back to that because that's the same thing. I mean, I ain't gonna throw like slick dicks, but there is her having an issue with Obsidian because of Obsidian, and let's be clear, I don't like her, so we're not gonna act like I'm trying to make somebody look good, somebody look bad. But Obsidian does a high risk, high reward style. I've said this on my channel, where I don't think what he does is what I call crossing the line. Especially with the women. There's been like a couple of times, and we're talking about like a decade of him being on here, where you can argue he may have quote unquote crossed the line with men, and even then, a lot of that dudes are the dude for the most part. The dudes are still, they're like cool, and nobody's on some he doesn't have a right to speak. Nobody's on some he doesn't have a right to speak, right? And I have people I don't like, and I'm not on the they don't have a right to speak. And there's that, and then that leads it. And so, but I will say, Obsidian has a unique way, just like how I rub dudes the wrong way sometimes. Obsidian has a unique way of rubbing a lot of these females the wrong way, in a very unique way that even the late great David Carroll can respect, which is why Obsidian is one of the very few dudes that David Carroll has ever, when he says somebody's name, the few times he does that, he actually says something with some positivity. Give that some credibility as far as in our space. Brother Obsidian, he don't say brother nobody else. Everybody else is a nigga. So there's that. So, but David Carroll could rub people the wrong way too, in a unique way, to the point where they want to nuke everywhere. But that being said, it's not like he's lying, so I don't personally have a problem with that. Then we transfer into the greater conversation. And I'm not taking it away where people want to have their gripes, but the greater conversation where I'm involved with is for Black men to have a right to speak in general, in which Obsidian is obviously under that umbrella. And there's people I can't stand and I'm not gonna throw names out, but I would never say they don't have a right to be on YouTube and say what they want to say. Now, obviously, if they're perpetuating hate speech, I don't agree with that. But let's be clear here: if we were perpetuating hate speech, they would have been shut us down. And that includes everybody, especially people. Obsidian has gotten to the size he's gotten, is 30, and say they would have been shut us down because that would have been an excuse. They even tried to. There's a reason why that didn't work the first time. So, so we know we're not breaking rules, and we know YouTube is always watching us uniquely. So they're waiting for us to do that, and they'll RICO law us, which means they'll get not one person, but a whole bunch of people, which is why she thought she could just go after everybody, which she has so far. She's just running her mouth. She hasn't tried. But she's the threat. That's why that's a conversation I really want to have. And I thought that was the conversation you were having as far as the last couple of videos you've done. Am I correct in that or no?
Yeah, well, I mean, I even mentioned that. I was like, I think Dr. Thunder, correct me if I'm wrong, you had a bit of a interaction with Miss Kim Foster, and your perspective was, hey, let's hear your perspective. We don't want, a second or a third hand account. Let's get your perspective on this. And in my opinion, I'm like, look, Black feminism, proposes to be about the empowerment and betterment of the Black community. So in my opinion, if you are really about the empowerment of the Black community, you're also going to want to talk to the men. So if your theories are so sound, why not sit down and have a conversation with your peer?
But evidence. Hold on, evidence that on that they're not their peer. The white man is their peer, and that's why. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't mean to cut you off, Ed. I just wanted to throw this in here real quick.
No, it is your stuff. So yeah.
So this Dusty Ninja rhetoric that gets thrown around. Most aggressively by divestors is not original information. It's an original. All it is kicking a little extra dust on Black feminist talking points. That's all. I mean, that's all the divestor language is.
Yeah, basically, it's more hardcore. It's basically intersectionality, but they're telling more of the truth of what it's really about, which is their quest for whiteness, which is not a pro-Black conversation. I'm not saying Black men need to be against it or Black people need to be against it, but you can't make the argument that Black men oppress you by dating out, and then you want to do that too. That's not.
That's the argument. And then really an attempt at humility. While other groups of women are attracted to confidence in a man, Black women are attracted to humility.
Hold on, I did cut what you call it off. So let him go then. Game Changer, if you want to throw that in a little bit more,
but now you're cutting me off. Well, yeah, but now you're cutting me off, and I apologize for doing so with you, Dr. Thunder. But I wasn't really a cutoff. We both started talking at the same time. So but yeah, let me complete my thought uninterrupted. Thanks, Ed. So once again, they bank on your humility. They bank on your low self-esteem. They bank on your misery, as I was saying before. Now, you can't really unite properly and create any type of family structure, any type of social structure, or any type of community with somebody who is hoping for half of the members of said community to be unhappy. You got it, Thunder.
Yeah. So what's astounding is these Black feminists actually regard a Black woman with a white man as Black love. So that tells you everything that you need to know about that. And if Black feminism was really about the entire community, then in the academy, where there are 20,000 more Black female professors than Black male professors, then that would have been an important issue. But if you raise that issue in the academy, not only are they confused, perplexed, and don't even know, though that is their purview, they ought to know that. It's right.
It looks like he got cut out.
He's still here. Okay, so no,
yeah. Am I still here?
Okay, I can see you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you had a little
They tried to get you. They took your face off, but it's okay.
Yeah, you're white circles, just so you know.
They made you white, so
Oh, okay. Well, I'm talking all that misogyny now. So, um, anyhow, yeah. I don't know where I got cut off.
No, we heard everything. You just
Okay,
clipped.
all
So
right.
Just the thing, yeah, just the thing cut off.
Yeah. So I mean, I can pause here, but
all
you
right,
know
so
the biggest issue. I mean, the biggest issue is if black feminism really was about the black community, then they would have addressed a lot of things. And this empowerment propaganda has never been about equality. It's always been about supremacy. That's why, with how, however, there's been a shift in undergraduate population in college from 13% fewer women to 15% more women. And when it got to about parity, notice that none of the talking points changed. And matter of fact, still till today, it's still the same double down on the same stuff. We need to make more opportunity for the girls, X, Y, and Z. Every meeting I go to, they're still talking the same yin yang.
yeah.
So that tells you that it's never been about equality. It's always been about supremacy.
Yeah, and so
That's
Dr. Thunder does it the long way, and that's necessary because that's where the credibility is, and obviously Dr. Thunder's story is out there, him going to 2 schools to find his, black wife. He's gone over the river through the woods to be with a black woman, not to mention being a doctor. So his way is necessary and more necessary than mine. But what I will say is my way, as far as how I say it, we got to call a thing what it is. First of all, black feminism is not designed to help black women. Black feminism is designed to be handmaidens of white supremacy, meaning they work for white women who works for white men, and they have their own like senior partner argument as far as white men and white women and their power struggles. And then black women are not even at the partner table. They're in this, like, they think they can be in a partner table. It's actually not that much different than like the Irish, how there's certain groups that are considered white now, like Irish Italians that weren't considered white before. Even the Irish are at the bottom, and they always have the most aggressive aspects against black people, particularly black men. It's always black men because, again, they are seen as the closest group to them because they're the furthest from where they're trying to go, which is why these are typically this is why we tend to have issues with Hispanics from time to time, because they're like that next group trying to come up as the white population becomes what it becomes, right? And so black women have this delusion. See, the problem with a lot of those groups and black women is if you're Irish, if you're Italian, you can make the argument you can reproduce white kids. Shout out to Dr. Francis West Welsing, a legend. With black women, you can't. No matter how much you hate black men, and I'm not talking about a Meghan Markle. And even though Meghan Markle will produce a darker skinned baby if you're not careful, which has happened with other women. But anyway, my point is you cannot hate black. There's no hating black men or hating black people to being white if you have certain genetic traits. It just isn't. So my point is these women are under delusion that if they attack black men enough, this is why they use the KKK and all this other stuff, or they'll do it like for Harriet does by way of like Madame Noir, which is a more sophisticated woke liberal way, is they attack black men. And so the reality is black men can't even speak because they're so under threat. The same thing Dr. Thun was saying, why they don't want to play dumb in the academy. They are so under threat of even addressing it. It's like the emperor that wears no clothes. And this brings it back to why Obsidian uniquely pisses them off, whether it's Karazin or it's for Harriet, is Obsidian articulates it in a way that is, let's just say, mainstream. He's controversial enough for mainstream to attract certain people like white women, somebody that'll have the conversation. The way Obsidian does it creates an attractive conversation. And so he'll draw certain people that may not be a large number, but be people that actually, like when you see some of these white women that are coming up, I'm not talking about Pearl, but other women, they're like, that's an interesting guy to talk about because he has interesting thoughts when it comes to this. And this is already the way I want to come. And he's not on that. Well, he's pro-black, but it's not that I'm going to take the pro-black stick and bash a white person over the head with it, and so they are extremely threatened because that gets in their yard. in a certain way. And so when you look at like Dr. Thunder, who doesn't go as hard about that, because obviously he's in the academy, Tia Son Johnson, although their stuff is lethal with the credibility of the data.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they don't like him. And then they try to go after, they use him to attack all of us. This is where you get like Game Changers issue with Obsidian, which, you know, I have my own opinions about that, but I understand where some of his points are coming from, where he exposes everybody. But the point is, and I'm going to say this and I am done, that chick is a white supremacist. Nobody's going to say it, so I'm going to say it. She's worse than Richard Spencer, because at least Richard Spencer will tell me to my face what he is on. And he'll say out loud, this is what I'm about. This is why I stand on. Just like that dude from Blackwater that recently said, it's time to play the colonialization game because these coloreds don't know, people of color don't know how to run their own country. At least I know where he stands and I can respect that. Kim is a coward. Because she is always, see, the thing that separate her from like Karazin is at least Karazin at some level will engage at some level, although she plays victim too. Kim won't. She is always, see, other than Obsidian, most of us have not really talked about her because she stays in her little castle when she was for Harriet, built her channel, and she would pretend we didn't exist. See, she was the queen of the let's ignore him to death argument. And once she,
Ed, just real quick. She is so she's so unwilling to actually converse with folks that have a different perspective that Obsidian appearing on my channel was enough reason for her to swear off any possibility of conversation with me.
Yeah, I saw that interaction. You know, like I said, me personally, because I haven't watched her content as long as other people. I've seen things here and there. There's, you know, obviously many things I don't agree with ideologically, but you know, I'm not one to sit here and say, this is her character, this is not that, because it's just like, until I've talked to a person or I've had a chance
she's
to
a sophisticated version. She is Chrissy and Paris Milan with a degree in the Ivy League. That's really all it is. She's gonna use a bigger vocabulary. She's gonna make it seem like she aims at particularly 92s and more sophisticated black women and international black women that have these attitudes, but they operate a certain way in corporate America. But she's no different than them.
Yeah, I was totally cordial to her in the commentary. I mean, she had low opinion of me right from the beginning, and all I was kind to her.
Because you're black. You're black
in my comments, right? Because I'm a black man. I know I'm Dusty Ninja. I know doctors, lawyers. If you.
I mean, they're calling NFL players Dusty now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
but if I could just finish this point real quick. Yeah, but I went over to her channel after I was kind to her in comments, and she was the one that came over to my channel, made the comments in my chat, right? So I went over to her channel almost as kind of a return the favor. You came over to my place, I'm going to come over to your place. And she was talking about black excellence. Okay. And I was like, okay, let me see what she's talking about. I made a couple comments in the chat. And as soon as I made a couple comments, a bunch of minions started pointing me out. Oh, the saboteur, get this person out of here. Oh, he was just making some inflammatory statements about it, just saying a bunch of stuff that's not even true. You can go to the comment section and you could see that all I was kind. So she just has folks programmed to just consider anyone that has a maybe a slightly different opinion about things. So she said things that I agreed with, and I was chiming in on a couple of things that I agreed with that she said. But I'm not.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's it.
I think. Well, I'll say this because some people kind of operate with like the clicks guilty by association factor. I'm not sure if that's her entirely, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It is.
I can say for me, right? Look, me personally, it's like I'm not going to sit here and talk about her dress size, talk about this, make comments about her being a Karen. It's like I don't operate like that. I'm like,
I said she's a white
no,
supremacist.
She's not saying you.
But let me finish my point.
Oh, okay.
But my point is, there are people on this. I create a platform for people to go and share their opinion. People are sharing opinions that I may or may not agree with, but they're sharing it. And so, just the very nature of the fact that this is a platform where I've had people come on and say, "Okay, let's hear what you have to say." If a person is insulted in the meantime, if a person says this, says that, they may say, "Okay, that entire space is bad," versus being able to say, "Okay, well, this person says this, that person didn't say that." You know what I mean? Like not being able to distinguish individuals, clumping everybody into a group. And I said this with this entire situation. Somehow an interaction between Obsidian and Kim Foster becomes now the entirety of the Manosphere, and anybody associated means that they're all digital terrorists. Me, I'm a digital terrorist because
they use Obsidian by way. The list started with Obsidian. They always Obsidian seems to be the one. I don't know why. See, I don't because Tommy. They used to want to use Tommy Sotomayor, but Tommy's always said, I'm not with them. I created them, so that's harder to do.
Yeah.
So Obsidian seems to be. David Carroll never really got big enough for them. He always kept his stuff under the radar because YouTube always kept him down too. So David Carroll would have been an easier person to try to make that play with too. But he also was the independent operator. Obsidian is like the closest thing. And obviously, Obsidian, you can disagree with anything I'm saying. But Obsidian's always been the closest thing that's like to okay, well, we can pin him to the whole group. But see, the problem doing that with Obsidian is everybody may say, okay, everybody's always made it clear that like it's not that Obsidian does something that's like outside of the normal everybody does, but it's not like Obsidian has been able to rally. I mean, let's be clear, BGS only has 44,000 subscribers. So it's not the same thing as like an Angry Man blew up once he kind of went broader than what the space is. And he was only 50. So nobody has never really been like, okay, you could say this dude represents everybody and everybody will co-sign that anyway. That's why I keep saying with city states. But Obsidian is the closest thing they can get to it, which is why they go that way.
Yeah, Kim is a cancel culturalist. That's what she is. She is a fan of using whatever means to silence whatever voices she doesn't agree with. That's who she is. But the thing is that there's a lot of them in the academy. And so that's kind of her pedigree. That's the way that she thinks. It's the white liberal talking points. But she's a cancel culturalist. She's a cancel culturalist.
Well, it goes even deeper than that, Doc, because and again, I'm not saying anything that's not a matter of public records. This came straight from the horse's mouth. The disgraced intellectual fraud and anti-Semitic apologist Claudine Gay was Kimberly Nicole Foster's instructor at Harvard. Yeah. So let's really connect the dots here. There is a reason why modern Black feminists refuse to debate anybody, because they know that they're empty skirts. And they betray the very academic canons that give them their respectability in the first place. They decry respectability politics on one hand, and then they want to use as an anvil, you know what I mean, the respectability of the academy on the other. You can't big up Harvard and lead with that degree, Kimberly, on one side, but then betray what Harvard is supposed to be about, which is truth. And you cannot get to the truth without debate. That's the whole point behind the Socratic method.
Kevin,
I wanted to say to what Edward was saying a while ago about, they want to be white and they want to be, with white supremacy. I agree with that to a certain extent. I think that the ultimate goal of the Black feminists is to be more of a proxy, like Cleopatra was to Rome. They want to be the standing power. They want to have their right to rule be enforced by a greater power, as Cleopatra once again did. Her right to rule over, Egypt came from Rome. And, she was also Caesar's mistress and then later Mark Antony's mistress in order to secure this power. That is what they want. They want to actually have power over Black men. They don't really care about the state of the community or anything like that. They just want to be the proxy ruler of the Black community. Now, the problem with this, and the reason why we're getting so much strife from them in attempting to do this, is because And one of the reasons why they want to keep us silent because they feel that we're trying to be the white man's proxy ruler over the Black community, just as they are. So they want to, present themselves in as the best candidate. They're making it a PR campaign for such a thing. That's what Black Girls Rock, Black Girls Magic, and they're Dusty, we're Magic. That's where that all comes into play. They're trying to appease to the white man who is the better proxy of the Black community. Now, just like Cleopatra had to, set up her brother, and to be deleted by Romans in order to obtain that position, Black women are obviously willing to do the same thing. Now, control is a means. So somebody said, what Black community? The Black community, meaning the ashes that's left over. Like they said in Game of Thrones, this person will see Westeros burn as long as they can be king of the ashes. So they would like to see they don't care. I mean, if the Black community completely burns and they are queens of the ashes, then they will gladly take that position. It's not a matter of personal comfort. It's a matter of power. Now, power is a means, not an end. Right quick, Dr. Thunder. And
sure.
The end to that power is once again to relationship leverage for Black men. They want to create a scenario and a situation, and they have come close to doing that to a woman, no matter how fat, no matter how ugly, no matter how obnoxious, how many tattoos, how many illegitimate kids she has. A man.
Black community, when you say that, they just did that to try to run you off. Like, what Black community? You know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
the aggregated economic power of what it is to basically be associated with it. That's why they still invest in it.
Understood. Yeah, I know, but he didn't. So once again, they want that leverage. They want basically superior men to get with inferior women. That's what they want the power for. And unfortunately, even, it's seen throughout the Black community. It's seen in this space. It's seen over and over and over again. Men settling for insufficient stock.
Hey, let me just I'm going to quote a Facebook post from Dr. Ronald Neal, and it's directly related to what we're talking about. But he has an interesting sort of angle on this. He says, "This was inevitable. It started with Black men over a century ago, the birth of a nation. Now it has transferred to Black women. 50 years from now, who will be blamed for the destruction of the United States? It will not be the white ruling class, nor will it be Black American men. It will be elite Black women across American institutions." If you don't believe me, read the books of Vivek Ramaswamy. He sees Black women as the face of the destruction of American exceptionalism all over the world. I've read his book closely. Ramaswamy fails to recognize that Black women were set up deliberately to be the faces of American failure and decline. Welcome to a brave new world.
Yeah.
What book was that?
It's the book is called, one second here. He just says read the books of Vivek Ramaswamy.
Okay. Yeah, it's I've talked to my husband about this a lot too, where we've gone back and forth about, obviously, even if you go back to, okay, right, the fight for freedom, even in America, Black Americans, right, in everything from slavery to Reconstruction era, and essentially all the things that were done in order to get us to the freedom we have today, right? That was Black men and women working together on some level. Of course, there's always been a traitor class, but I'm like, there are obviously revolutionary women. I mean, even for Harriet, in theory, is supposed to be a tribute to Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, I mean, they try to remix who she is. I mean, we're not honest. That's the problem. Like, they don't. Black men are very honest. Black men are not hiding what we think and what we want. We're good or bad.
Absolutely. And I think I've mentioned it, multiple times. It's like the problem becomes in the Black male spaces. If a Black man does or says something that they don't agree with, that they don't agree ideology, they will go back and forth. I mean, i.e. Game Changer and Obsidian just a few minutes ago, right? They calm down, but it's like, it's very much a culture where men are comfortable calling each other out. In the Black female spaces, it's like you have this overwhelming kind of one voice that encapsulates all the Black community.
Well, that's where you become a problem. See, the truth is, a lot of the reasons black men did what they did, not all of us, but that because there used to be women, like you had women like You Heard Me First Time, which she had her critiques of black men too, but she also had like, this is what we need. She was on the, if black women want to create the outcomes that they want, this is what black women are going to have to do.
Right.
And then, but there are dusty dudes out there. But even her having that position was an unattainable position, because that she was around back when when Crystal Cares and when it really got extra popular on the internet to talk about the answer was, going to white folks, even though none of them ever go to white folks. Which is, I'm like, the black manosphere needs to promote black women to date outside their race. In fact, push them out if they want to go. Because I'm tired of the threat, because we know where that's going to go. So in fact, I don't jump on black women if I see black women with white dudes. But anyway, the biggest issue I have over there is they're not honest. They're not, and even going back to what I was saying with you being a problem is, once Kevin Samuels came up, see, the problem is you had women that would come up here and there, and either they would be bullied into a certain position or they would be removed from YouTube. They would be removed. And the problem is, it was never enough women to really kind of guard against that, even indirectly. So you had like Crimson Cure, who was in Angry Man's camp, and her channel was not big always. And then she went on her path and was able to grow. But this is why you have channels like The Breakdown and stuff who had to operate as an umbrella under us, because if not, they would be eaten alive. This is the Borg hive mind thing. But post Kevin Samuels, because that aggregated enough of a female audience that listened to Kevin, whether it's black, white, or otherwise, we're talking about the black in for the most part. Now you had an audience that can operate independently of those women and that sisterhood. So it really became a completely different thing. That's why a lot of women that will listen to you or Dee or it's a variety of women, big and small, are not necessarily going to be women that listen to Chrissy, Paris, Cynthia G when she was around, or these are like different sections. Now what's funny is these sections have not gone ahead. And that's what I'm waiting. I'm not trying to invite a fight, because I understand how vulnerable some of these channels are. But notice how it's like oil and water. It's different now. You've heard the mammy talk, but you've already heard what I said a mammy is or pick me is when they call it. So really, so Kim attacks us as a way of indirectly. It's the same thing they did with Simone Biles. They were really pissed off at Simone. But they went after Jonathan Owens, and they kind of low key threw the pick me stuff in there when she wouldn't capitulate to what they were saying.
Right.
It's the same principle. So that's
once again, that goes to what I was saying earlier, Ed. It's about black men knowing their value. They will attack that at all costs.
Oh, and
and that's what I'm saying. That's what black feminism is about. It's about keeping right quick. It's about keeping the secret of black men's value from black men.
And that's where also these channels become a problem, because with a lot of the dudes that we can't deal with because they want to be too purple pill about it, purple pill / blue pill about it, those guys can be more influenced by reasonable black women. And keep in mind, we don't control your channel. We don't control Dee Dee's channel, or I forget, there's a couple of them, even Crimson Cure. These channels operate independently. That's why I call it the Black Female Accountability Department. They're completely different than us, but they organically came up on their own, because this is women holding other women accountable for the outcomes that women want, not what men say they want, but what women say they want. And so that becomes a threat, because now you can't ignore that. You can't say we're hate speech, because you got women saying certain stuff too. And for the dudes that may say, oh, we're red pill, we're losers, we're this, we don't show our faces, they may watch you. They're going to watch it, Dee. And this is in greater YouTube. And that's why Danica Marie is obviously another one that's more closer to our space than not. And that's why that becomes a threat. But you can't go at them differently. You got to go at where you believe that they pull this information from, which they don't just copy our stuff. I'm not going to say they do. They come their own stuff for their own reasons, and it changes the trajectory of the conversation. That's why you're starting. I say all this to say this. That's why you're seeing her start going after us, because she used to not say nothing. She used to just do what she was gonna do, live her bag, say her Madame Noir stuff. Like I thought she was just trying to get on TV and be on a bigger social media platform. She's having to come down to our level is how she see it, because now this is a problem that cannot be ignored because of that difference. And
I think you guys are way overthinking this stuff. It's very simple, man. It's very simple. It's not hard. Kimberly Nicole Foster has lost the bloom has been off the rose for a good long minute. She's essentially stagnant. And
her channel stagnant. See, I don't watch it. I can't look at
her. I mean, you can look at her, for Harriet website. She hasn't updated it in years. She needed a shot in the arm. And I'm the right person to give her that shot in the arm.
Oh yeah, blame the
niggas. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. And so she's, I hate using the phrase, but it applies. Clout chasing. I mean, she has essentially gone from, the more, hardcore, black feminism, rhetoric, if you will, to, doing gossip and trying to, get on whatever's, trending at the moment.
Yeah, which is not her lane.
Rose was trending. Kevin Samuels was trending. Black Manosphere is trending, and she kind of hopped on board. What she didn't anticipate was another black woman disagreeing with her. See, she needed to be wedded to the idea that these are weirdos, they're losers, can't get no women, don't like educated women. My lady went to Northwestern, top 10 university, just like Kimberly. See, when the facts get in the way of her rhetoric, she kind of spazzes out. And so she couldn't really deal with the fact that here you got a sister that's on par with you in terms of university education. Here you have a sister that, just doesn't agree with you. Just doesn't agree with it. That's all it is.
Well,
she went kablooey because for modern black feminists, and by the way, I mean, look at the timing. Shay Sade is going through the same thing as this situation. I don't think that's an accident. That's not coincidence. These people congregate, and Shay Sade knows this better than I do. Yeah. They congregate on what's known as Shea Butter Twitter. I guess they call it Shea Butter X now. They congregate there. These I call them modern black feminists because the Kimberly Nicole Fosters, the Feminista Joneses, the Brittany Coopers, etc. et al., they live on the internet. They live there. This is the reason why Kimberly saw herself in a kind of death struggle with me, because she says in her letter about me to YouTube, YouTube is my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's sad.
Well, let me say, okay.
Wait, Chaos, are you saying that it's sad to have a career on YouTube?
Yes, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. Because think about it.
If you have a Harvard degree.
No, why is it sad? Well, Chaos didn't say that. Chaos, why is it sad to have a career off of YouTube?
Because in my opinion, I'm not saying people can make the money on YouTube, but if this is your career and this is the only place you harbor where you put all your eggs in one basket, you're in trouble.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah, I understand that. Yeah, because
if this is a career, I would highly advise people that have been doing content like me or anybody else, you're going to have to reevaluate that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Obsidian, were you referring to?
I don't think that's what she meant when she said that, though.
No,
I think that she was saying that YouTube was.
No, but that's the exact word. I'm saying that's the exact word, right?
Those were her exact words that she put in writing.
Yeah, and
no, I understand that. No, I understand that. I'm saying, I understand that. What I'm saying is saying that YouTube is your career is not saying it's not the same as saying that's the only social media platform that I access or that I use to disseminate my materials.
Well, what I am saying is this. This is what I am saying. I'm going to lay all this out in the upcoming book on this. The reason why I call them modern black feminists is because they are different in kind and in tone from the black feminists of a previous generation. For example, Kimberly Nicole Foster talk about name calling and all the rest of it. She used a whole bunch of ageist language against me and my lady friend. We're both Gen Xers. Yes. She's a millennial. And millennials grew up in the age of social media. Generation Z, millennials, they came up in social media. Jonathan Haidt and other researchers, Jonathan Haidt out of New York University Stern School of Business, him and other researchers have talked about this, about how that how they react completely differently. Everything about Kimberly that's of any significance is online.
Mhm.
So, and that's how it is with many of these black feminists. They're not out pounding the pavement. They're not out there in the streets, so to speak, out in them streets. It's all online. It's on Shea Butter Twitter X. It's on YouTube. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. And one of the big clashes between Foster and my lady friend is all of her work is out in the street. It's the other way around. And her social media only acts to facilitate the work that she does out on them streets. And so, a lot of the issues here, and you're right, Shay, it is a kind of clash of civilizations going on here. To go back to Benjamin R. Barber, there is a kind of clash of civilizations, and I know the reason why she does what she does. She's trying to remain relevant. I know why. I know the reason why. I mean, she's like basically the last woman standing among modern black feminists. You think about all the other modern black feminists of the 2010s, they've all pretty much gone by the wayside. You look at Brittany Cooper going by the wayside. You look at Feminista Jones going by the wayside. You look at all these other names, they more or less going by the wayside. They were in the day out the Noir. She's like the last man standing, so to speak.
If I may, because I think she would argue, just even based upon her, the connection with interaction with Dr. Thunder, her following, she has these media connections. She's gone to Harvard, politicians. I think that she would argue that her dealing with anything related to the manosphere is her condescending to your level, that she has a much larger influence than the manosphere. That's what I would think. Now, I don't want to speak.
And that's exactly what she would say, but it belies, it would belie the actions. People that have the influence and have the ear of presidents don't waste their time with people who, just have 30,000 subs. It doesn't make sense. It's like looking
or not even 10,000.
Or not even 10,000. Exactly. So I mean, it's like looking for Ivana Trump on the subway. It doesn't work. So what she's really saying is that I'm really like nervous about the influence that these guys are getting. That's what she's really saying. And the avoidance, the sheer avoidance. See, I've been around. I've been in the game too long. Feminista Jones used to come by my live stream. A lot of people that are around back then will know that she used to come up in the chat room and refuse to come on the air because she didn't want to get that ass waxed. Same thing with Kevin Samuels. All of the black feminists were dead silent. They were quiet as the grave until the day he died. Here they come out of the woodwork. Now all of a sudden they got something to say. They done found their steel. Why didn't they go up there when he was there alive? Because they knew they're going to get waxed on, waxed off, and then wind up being a viral clip. That's why.
So I went to her channel. It seems like, after she did what she did, she just like, okay, now I just moved on with my life. While we're still talking about her, like her following channels are Billionaires Don't Need Your Protection, Leave Coretta Scott King Alone, Jonathan Majors. We keep having to call out the greed and ignorance of industry plants. Cat Williams, Little Nas X, Justin Timberlake, Lapi, something like that. Who knows? But yeah, it seems like she's just like, okay, I won, and it's time to move on with my life.
Yeah,
so,
I would agree.
So I mean, to paint her as a zealot, I mean, she's a lot of things, but to be fair, she doesn't really appear. Now, I don't watch her stuff, but it's not really appearing that. It seems like she was somebody who had a problem, solved it, and moved on after that solution. Now, a lot of interesting things were saying about Black feminists and their attacks on pygmies. I think that the reason that Black feminists attack pygmies so hard is because, once again, it counters their agenda. You see, Black men are now coming into a new level of awareness, with Simone Biles and her husband and everything. They're coming into a new state of awareness of their own worth. And but this originally came from other Black men, like know your worth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it does seem like self-aggrandizement when men say that to men. However, when women say that to men, there is more validity to it. and that's scary. And also, and this includes you, Shay Sade, and people like Chantel Simone and Danica Marie, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, are significantly more attractive than people like, and I'm talking physically, than people like Kimberly Foster, for example. And the reason why I say that is because attractive women's opinion weighs a lot more than lesser women. It does significantly more. And it doesn't matter if she went to Harvard. Oh, and Bella Rings also. And Bella Rings. Attractive women's opinion weighs more, a lot more than unattractive women's opinion. And they don't like that. They're threatened by the concept and the notion of attractive women speaking to a man's value.
Desirability. You're talking about desirability. She talks about that a lot.
She's yes. Matter of fact, Shay, if I may, I don't disagree. A big part of her plank is these are her words, the hierarchies of attractiveness, the politics of beauty, that sort of thing. And really what the problem is that, and this is the reason why people say, well, you shouldn't be talking about appearance. Well, first of all,
they want money. That's the thing about it.
She talked about the appearance issue. She does it. It's just that I'm not supposed to notice it, and I'm not supposed to weigh in on it. She gets to be able to question, why is it that as the point was just made, the beautiful women or the women that are objectively better looking, why is it that their word gets to have more say and mine does not? Because that's the goal of modern Black feminism, is to flatten the hierarchy. So to raise up. So this is the reason why when I did that video saying, who said that Kimberly was a 7? Who said that? What man said, you know what? Yeah, we all agree she's a 7. Who said no? She thinks that she's a 7. And I'm not saying that she doesn't have a right to think that, but is that confirmed in the world? See, beautiful women, Bella Rings, Danica Marie, Six the Goddess, etc. at all. There will be men across a spectrum say, yeah, she's pretty hot. She's attractive. And men will listen to them. They will. I mean, we have objective evidence of this. Mm-hmm. A lot of Black women, a lot of modern Black feminists, and not to say that all of them are unattractive, but they are the exceptions that prove the rule. Many modern Black feminists cannot accept that, yes, there is a hierarchy. The number scale is real. And if you're a 4, you just got to accept your 4 and be more submissive, nicer, be more pleasant. That's how it got to be when you're a non-select woman.
The birth of feminism starts with 4s. It actually, I mean, because when you go into history and there's a time where a woman's only mark in society, the only options available was to be a wife and mother, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was a very difficult society for 4s to be in. So these 4s wanted alternatives, and these alternatives, came with jobs, and then later, okay, now we're working, so let's get some equal pay going, and it just built upon that. But basically, what feminism is a backup plan, in some cases, a primary plan for ugly broads. So it's no wonder that the more attractive women feel one way about feminism, while the lesser women feel another way about it.
Indeed, and matter of fact, I just like to follow up on that.
Oh my goodness!
Rush Limbaugh famously said that feminism was designed to give ugly women a chance, and it's true. Rush Limbaugh, but you can look it up. Rush Limbaugh, he said feminism was designed to give ugly women a chance.
Oh boy! Well,
and listen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because I just wanted to add real quick, because I've listened to her arguments on desirability, and I've heard that, I think, in general among feminism on the beauty hierarchy and deconstructing it, and that being a connection of patriarchy, which, look, I can understand that, and I can certainly understand if women have issues with that. Just my only thing, it always lends back to, why do you want to deconstruct that while at the same time maintaining the economic expectations for patriarchy? Because we do know, right, whether you want to argue against biology or heterosexuality or whatever, like, men want pretty women. And for thousands of years, men of all cultures have used their resources and ranked pretty women, literally. So It's like, if you want to deconstruct the beauty hierarchy, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, then we have to also be willing to deconstruct this economic hierarchy that feminists at the same time are going for. There was literally a video I mentioned earlier where it was like the feminist was like, until the patriarchy is completely dismantled, then basically we need to buy stuff, and we can't settle for less. That's literally what she said with respect to dating, and I'm like, what?
Exactly.
Well, in many aspects, a woman's looks is capped, and because it's capped, they are things that they can't do. They won't really benefit.
Yet you actually have said. I just want to finish one point. One point that the brother actually made, and that's this. So he asks a question, a legitimate one. Why are we talking about Kim Foster tonight when she's, I went over to her site. I see this other stuff that she's talking about. I get the impression that she says, I won, I'm moving on. Got it. So the reason why we're talking about it is because Shay Sade is raising some questions that arise from all of this that should get everybody thinking and talking. One of those questions, there's a lot of questions. There's things we haven't even touched on yet. Like how black women attack other black women when they say that they're supposed to be about black women. What it really means is that they attack black women who go against what they say.
Yeah.
That's really what it means. We haven't even gotten into that yet. But the reason why is because there's a real question here. Does the black manosphere have a right to exist? And if they don't, who should be in a position to say that they don't? That's a real question. Nobody in the black manosphere is calling for Kimberly Nicole Foster or any other modern black feminist to be ran off of any social media platform, to be censored, to be silenced. Nobody is calling for it. I'm not calling for it. They are. So that's one reason. The other thing I would say is this. It goes back to my point earlier. Modern black feminists think that everything is online because, in not all cases, Feminista Jones is a Gen Xer, but in many cases, you're looking at millennials. And there's been studies on this. They weigh heavily with social media. Now, if you know the real behind the scenes, Kimberly Nicole Foster got a lot of legal stuff that she's got to worry about. And trust me when I tell you, she is worried. You just don't know it because it's not to the general public. But I know it. So, you can give the impression that, I won this and I'm moving on. As Winston Churchill once famously said, this is just the end of the beginning. And I'll stop with that.
Yeah. I do think back to the point that you made in the Game Changer, you can weigh in. Really, that was kind of, yes, the bigger point of this entire live was this larger question about what the battle that you've had with him represents and the silencing of black men. What does his space mean, not only for now, but for the future? How is it being perceived by the powers that be, by those who control media and different things? So I really do think that this doesn't just happen and end. I mean, it might to a certain extent, her life might go on, but I'm like, with somebody as influencer as her and these spaces not going anywhere, there's going to be a point somewhere where the tensions clash. And this is why I posed the question of will there ever be a time when there can be a meeting of the minds, sitting down? If you really actually care about the black community, not just black women over here, black women over there, but black community, you would think that there'd be a willing to come together and try to understand or talk, or, you would think. That's why I posed that question. I don't know if that'll ever happen. I'd love to see it.
Well, let me say
that's never going to happen. Well, let
me say this. That's exactly what's one of the many different threads that needs to be examined here. My lady friend has decades of nonprofit community involvement, decades, okay, of actually being out in them streets working for the betterment of black people. Okay? Kimberly Nicole Foster does not. She doesn't. And what she's willing to do is to try to destroy a black woman who has decades of this type of work and experience, trying to slander her name and defame her because she's butthurt that she disagrees with her. Okay. That tells you her commitment to the community.
Game changer.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to clarify. The reason why I was at her channel to bring up certain things is not to question the whole premise of this conversation, but I mean, accusations was made that she has this obsession with the Manosphere, and I was pointing out that that may be exaggerated. And I also want to highlight that since the incident, we have talked a lot more about her than her us. So the assertion that she's trying to make a buck off of this may be flawed, because she just kind of like went on with her life. That's why I brought that up.
So I like to respond to that.
Now, well, I am not finished. So
let me know when you're finished.
I'm finished when you hear a period or a long comma. So now the reason that I initially wanted to bring things up is what I was going to say was a woman's beauty is capped. So this goes into, why they behave the way they do, and the thing that you said about the income thing. You see, a lot of women are under the realization, which is wise, that they do not qualify, nor is there anything that they can ever do to qualify for a certain tier of men with this whole beauty hierarchy. So even though they say that they want it, they don't actually, say that they don't want to destroy it. They don't actually want to destroy it. They just want to have a fair place in it. And by fair, and it's not fair that a woman is genetically unfortunate and no matter what she do, even if she wins the lottery, she cannot excel past a certain level of men, socioeconomically speaking. So they want to change that. And that's what feminism is. It's a mechanism of that change. They feel that no matter how ugly I am, no matter how fat I am, as long as I'm educated, which is something that they have control over, they can still get a choice man. They want to feel that, that's why they called in to Kevin Samuels, like, what can I do? And for some, quite many of them, genetics just wasn't in it for them to do the things that, just like genetics wasn't in it for me to be a basketball player or something like that. It's just not available to them, but they still want to strive for that fairness. And what they really want is for the more attractive women to, out of sympathy for their lessers, to get out the way and let the lesser attractive women pick first, which is what's going on in the Black community.
Well, so I think I'm going to take advantage of that pause there. So I would like to respond really quickly.
Because I want to weigh in. I want to weigh in, and then after this, I'm going to have to wrap it up because I actually need to get started on dinner. We can go.
For your husband.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I was going to say on the point, because this is actually a point I wanted to add that connects, I think, to a point you made earlier, Obsidian, and also Game Changer. I can say this as a woman. There is something particularly painful and uncomfortable about having your looks rated. And this is why when you're among friends, you're looking at stuff like it can even be tempting to want to be like, oh girl, you look beautiful, you look this and that. Even if you're like, I don't like that outfit, I don't like the hair or whatever. Like it takes a real good friend to be like, your hair doesn't look good, like you're not looking good in that dress. Like that takes a real solid friend. But the default that I've noticed among women is you just don't want to have your looks critiqued. And so I think there's something particularly painful on just a gut level. Forget about all of the different theories and the Harvard or the whatever school, I think it's Vanderbilt. Forget about that. Just the innate something like guttural about when a woman goes after another woman's looks, which is what I think happened in the live you had with Miss Brown Sugar, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Obsidian. But there's something just very alarming and unnerving about that. And I think, and this is why I personally try to steer clear from rating women, because first of all, I'm just not.
No, it wasn't a rating. It wasn't a rating conversation
about looks. I thought there were comments made with
and it's publicly posted. I mean, Kimberly Nicole Foster wanted to shut all this down to try to get rid of the evidence, which brings me round robin back to an earlier point.
Okay.
She spent the better part of a year attempting to destroy my lady friend's career. Now she failed. See, this is something else people don't know. She tried. Her flying monkeys tried to do it, but failed. Okay, because my lady is just too important to the operation. They just wasn't going to do that. But they tried, which is illegal, by the way. Taking someone's place of employment, making it public on your platform, and then suggesting that your followers go and attempt to try to get them fired is illegal. Okay? That is illegal. That's a crime. It's a class 1 felony in the Lone Star State. Okay? So we have to be clear here. I have a witness right here on this dais with me, Dr. Thunder. He knows the tactics. He even gives it a name, Fosterian tactics. She will go to your channel, bleed all over the spam up your comment section, then go and scrub him and act as if nothing ever happened. She frequently posts, she frequently makes posts and videos, and it takes them down. So if you don't know the actual history, and you're just a new jack coming in through the door and doing a drive-by, you wouldn't know anything about this. But people are like, oh, it's on the inside. You know, we do know about it. She just plays real dirty. Now, is that's how it goes? Okay, fine. So we'll see how in the legal realm how all this plays out. We'll see. I'm just simply giving background and context to that. With regard to going back to the point about looks and so on and so forth. The reason why I did what I did with her boyfriend, so that we're clear, he was the one that struck first. And that's important. He came out of the woodwork, out of nowhere, with a battery in his back, less than a year being together with this woman, coming out swinging. That's fine. So I said, okay. So since Kimberly Nicole Foster out here talking about, I got to have standards, I got to be with a brother that's as educated as me, I said, okay. So let's play the college game. See, many sisters, because to be fair, many brothers don't know this. Most brothers don't know what I'm about to say. But if you've been through that university's life, you know there's levels to this. And I'm sorry, Harvard people don't normally get with people that went to UNT. Like attracts like. This is the reason why Barack went to Columbia undergrad, Harvard Law School, got with Michelle, who went to Princeton undergrad and Harvard Law School. They call it the Ivy League for a reason. Ivies tend to get with other Ivies. In the Big Ten, like one of Kimberly Nicole Foster's advisors, Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham, she went to the Big Ten school, University of Wisconsin-Madison. Guess her late great husband, A. Leon Higginbotham, went to another Big Ten school, Purdue University. Like attracts like. So when you get with a brother and you're ranked in the top 10 in the country, and you get with a brother that went to a school that's ranked 200 and something, by definition, it's a mismatch. Or is it? Or is it water seeking its own level? This is the reason why I went back to the point about who told you were 7. Women's looks get them the best man that they can attract. That's a fact. And the reason why I did the side-by-side comparisons is because, look, you're the one that's following me around, bro. I ain't following you around. There is nothing remarkable about you. Nothing. When you get introduced by her people, all she can say is, you're so supportive. When my lady introduces me, she can say he's the #1 bestseller, top 100 YouTuber, top 100 podcaster, one of the leaders of one of the biggest black male organized events in the country, ranked #5 last year. That's the reason why I did it, because I want to remind Kim, this is where you rank. Deal with it.
So, Obsidian, in other words, and out of this, I don't want to diverge, with the family Lou thing, that some women only qualify for the men they can get, and wherever you can get, that's who you qualify. And you got to live with it, be comfortable with it, make a life. But it seems to me, I'm seeing a lot of women can't make a life if you start, like most people reveal the real, what's they're hiding. In other words.
Well, yeah, I mean, and this is exactly what the whole deal with Kevin was. A lot of the black feminists were quiet as the grave, including Kim, until he died.
Yeah, we know that. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I mean, once again, cowardice. If they was really about that life, they would have called up there and made the case, but we all know how that would have went. They are seriously angry at the wrong people. They need to take it up with their mama and their daddy.
Well, I'll say this because I do need to wrap this up.
Okay.
I know this, to your point, Game Changer, we may not see much more of this interaction necessarily between, you know, the old man and Kim Foster, but I don't think this conversation ends. I'll be really curious to just see how these spaces evolve, you know, just over the next coming months, especially with the election. I'm curious because I'm, you know, taking a step back, trying to get away from the personal details and looking for what it is again politically. That is really where I'm just more curious to see how things are going to change. I understand, you know, there's a lot of different dynamics going on when the desirability market. Of course, there's looks, there's education, there's money, there's all of that. I don't think that's ever going to change. Honestly, I think as long as heterosexuality is in existence, men are always going to want pretty women, and women are always going to want men with money. I don't care what gender non-binary things that they. It's just because nature has been operating like that for like thousands of years. So I don't know if you're getting around it. The best you can do, I think, is maybe try to make yourself, like I've said, as a woman, try to make yourself as desirable as possible and be nice, and you can have a happy life. Like you don't have to be a supermodel to have a happy life, but just be realistic, you know?
Yeah, but supermodels should and do have happier lives. You see, I mean, there are some proponents of that. There are some proponents of giving, you know, overweight single mothers high value men, you know, that pay 100% of everything. There are some advocates of that. So feminists are winning in that regard because they were able to instill that mindset into a lot of Black men.
Wait,
so
instill
and that's
what mindset?
the mindset of you can be, you know, past fertility age, you can have a multitude of kids, you can be fat, you could be not genetically pleasing, you know, and you can still get a man who at least is aspiring to be high value. So you know, that is a thing in the Black community, and it is a thing in the Black manosphere. Black men taking L's in their relationship is something that is unfortunately, you know, strongly ingrained in them because we don't shoot for the stars. You know, we just take what we can get and then make excuses while we're with the fat chick. That's what we have been doing for quite some time, and they want to continue that trend.
I actually agree with that. I think that's a very fair point. I think that and it has been shown in evolutionary psychology circles. David M. Buss, I've mentioned him many times over the years. I've interviewed him, cited him in both my books. The role of self-esteem in mating is something that is recognized when it comes to women. And because it's not as often talked about with men, we may be lulled into a sense that it just doesn't matter, and that's not true. Self-esteem matters in both, and we see this when it comes to like abuse, for example. So using the conventional model. So, you know, guy beats a woman up. We all saw, you know, what's love got to do with it. Tina Turner, Ike Turner. You know, it was so disturbing to me. I couldn't even watch it. But there's a scene in the film. He really lays into her, and he says, you know, you're not going to leave me because you're nothing without me, and you're never going to leave me. That type of tactic is common among, in this case, physical domestic violence and abuse. That the abuser, in this case, I'm going to say the guy, he will, in addition to physically beating the woman up, what he will also use is a kind of psychological warfare. Say things, you know, to bring down her self-esteem. You're nothing without me. Nobody else will want you, and so on. So
you're not a 7.
Right.
Is another example of that.
Right.
So Shay Sade, I also wanted to.
I wasn't finished.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, all of those tactics are very real. And you know, of course, you know, in most instances, women don't beat up men. But that doesn't mean that they still can't use the kind of psychological warfare. And it's really unfortunate. I've been studying evolutionary psychology for a long time. I've actually known people who studied with David Buss at the University of Texas at Austin, and very few of them are Black. For whatever reason, there are not many Black people that are formally taking up evolutionary psychology, and I think that we're worse off for it. Go ahead.
Obsidian, are you aware of because you said that most of the time women are not beating up men. Actually, according to the some of the more recent research on this, and you can find this information on CDC. In the Black community, domestic violence is a 50-50, meaning that about half are actually bidirectional as far as physical violence.
Combat, they call it.
And then when it's and then when it is one person that is doing the violence and the other person not participating in that, actually about 70% is the woman doing that.
Yeah.
And only about 30%, that's the percentage left over, is it the men. So although you're saying the beating up, men are going to tend to do more damage with their fists, but actually women tend to use blunt objects. They tend to use fireplace pokers and knives,
weapons,
and beer bottles in their car.
Right.
And so actually there's more research, and this actually came from Dr. T. Johnson, that suggests that in these interactions, women actually will tend to do more damage than men.
Yeah.
Because men will only use their fists, where, like I said, women will use these other objects.
Well, again, Doctor, you're 100% correct. Dr. Curry, Tommy Curry, of the Man Not fame, he talks about this as well, and they're both correct. Here again, we see the ideological blinkers of the modern Black feminists. Now, if they really cared about Black women as much as they claim, why aren't they taking the lead in all this and saying, listen, we need to have a much more nuanced, much more intellectually honest conversation so that we can end and tamp down on intimate partner violence for everybody's sake? But they don't do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's because it's a supremacist movement.
Too. I've talked about that in some previous videos. I am going to have to wrap this up. I know I was going to say to your point earlier, because I know the weight issue is very severe. And, it's funny because I just happen to live in a part of the Bay Area where you just don't see a lot of overweight people. But anytime I go down south, I'm reminded of how severe the weight issue is. I think there's a part of me that tends to be, have a bit more empathy as far as the struggle is concerned, because I have many people in my family who struggle with weight and different things. And when I was younger, I had weight struggles. So my position has always been, a woman doesn't necessarily have to, she's not obligated to go on a diet, but that doesn't mean that men have to accept her. Right. So if you are happy being your size, if you're happy being plus size, overweight, or whatever, you feel loved and beautiful, that's completely great. But you also can't force men to like you. So I believe women should have the freedom of choice with how they want to take care of their body. And I think what men should also have the freedom of choice as far as what they should take.
That's a very fair point. That's a very fair point, Sade. I think that I'm just not into policing what other men find attractive or who they get with. That's their business. It's a private affair between the two parties. That's their business. What I am concerned about, however, is the modern Black feminist attempt, and it has been articulated earlier, and I actually agree with this, the attempt to try to flatten the field, so to speak, and the attempt to try to use the psychological warfare ops on Black men to accept them. If they were just like, look, I am what I am, and I go out into the mating market and I get what I get, and I let the chips fall where they may, that would be one thing. I have nothing to say about that. I do have a problem with this psyops on Black men writ large. That's what I got a problem with.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't think you should try to shame men into liking what they don't like. That's where I have a problem. For sure.
Yeah.
So,
I wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got it, Chaos.
No, it was me. Go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to address the 7th thing because I watched her show following the events of last month, and as she stated, she was saying that she was really just talking about the difference between women. Her message, though, about beauty was saying that a woman who is a 7.2 should not rank herself as entirely superior because she's in the same range as a 7. But she gave herself that number just arbitrarily relative to another arbitrary number of 7.2. It wasn't her way of saying, at least according to her, it wasn't her way of saying, I am a 7.
So, well, here's the problem with that. So we know when Kevin, and to be fair, he didn't invent this. Many black people might think that, but he did not invent this. The idea of finding out where you rank by number, and you can't use the number 7. And the reason why is because everybody thinks they're a 7. So no, that's the point that I was getting at. Who told you that you was a 7? That was my question. Who told you that? Now, if you think that, okay, then who in the world agrees among men? See, a lot of black women, it's modern black feminists. You know, my lady friend made this point on one of our podcasts together. She argued that the irony of modern black feminism, and I am going to write about this in the book, would give her full attribution because she's brilliant. The deep irony here is that for all of their talk about patriarchy, white or black, and all of their talk about problems with masculinity, they're the most black male identified black women out here. They're the most black male identified. Everything they do is in reaction to black male identification. Everything. And, you know, they don't want to accept that men get to decide where you rank on the scale if you're a woman. Just like if you're a man, women get to decide where you rank on the scale. You don't get, you can think whatever you want to think about yourself. But if you're interested in mating with the opposite sex, they have a say in where you rank. And these ladies don't want to accept it. Hence my question. I get the argument. Fair enough. But that still doesn't deal with my point. Who told you was a 7?
Again, according to her, she wasn't giving herself the label 7. She was saying that if she's a 7 and a woman in another fictitious scenario, who's a 7.2, was to behave as if she is extraordinarily superior, that notion is false because she is really within a range, just slightly better. So the number 7 was just given, she could have just as easily said 4 or anything like that to fit the sentence. This was not her own official rating and assessment of herself.
Well, here's what I would say to that. She's also made statements that you would not be aware of, where she would say things like, as a matter of fact, in the very same video in question, for example, she's saying, I got cousins that look like thus and so. Again, trying to flatten the field. It doesn't work that way. The men get to decide. And yes, men will say she's a 7, but she's a 7.5. 7.5 is better. So again, we're back to square one. Who told you was a 7? Why is it so hard for so many black women to just say, you know what, I'm a 4? And that's it. That's all it is. I'm a 4. The end. And we move on. Why is that so hard?
Okay. Does anybody else understand?
Federal. It is something very, it's hard to explain. I'm just saying as a woman, it is largely uncomfortable, partially because we grew up in a society that spends a lot of time, I think, wanting to cater to how women perceive themselves. Feminism has been, rampant for the last 50 years. So this idea of desirability being in question and not wanting to have unrealistic bodies, like this conversation has been going on for a long time. So it's just not a culture where you're going to have a mom that says, hey, you're too fat, go on a diet. Or, hey, you need to be prettier to get these kind of men. Like that exists in other cultures.
In Asian cultures, especially.
Yes, I've had Asian friends who have told me that. Yes, but that doesn't exist here. So I think partially we're just not used to that level of deep honesty, that level of critique, and it's just not considered polite. And so, yeah, there's a lot to that. But I think that's some reasons. And then final statements. Guys, gonna have to wrap this up.
Yeah, if I could go first, because I actually have a show that's going to start at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, so I got to go. But I just wanted to digress to say this thing about this Fosterian tactics that Obsidian mentioned, that I sort of named. I guess I coined that name. And the tactic is basically when you either instruct your minions to go to other platforms and to threaten to dox them. Okay, that's part of the tactic, because that's a tactic that I noticed. One of her minions came over to. Actually, I wasn't even on my platform. I was on Mr. Z. I was on his platform, and they were in the chat saying, Dr. Thunder, does your does your job know, or does the university you work at know that you're talking like this? So there's
Mm.
not so subtle threats of outing you, to which I said, on my own platform later that same day, to which I said, look, I have tenure. Have you heard of it? So you can make whatever threats you want to make, but that's not going to have any impact on me. So anyhow, that's my last words. Thank you for letting me come up and contribute.
And one suggestion, Dr. Funder, I know that you put the video that you had with Sam behind another wall. The snippets of the conversation, I'm hoping that you document that for future reference, because if most people is putting comments and hiding their hand, I hope you screenshot every one of those comments, especially direct
Yeah,
to
yeah. I mean, I have screenshots. Matter of fact, I shared on my community tab comments that had been adjusted or eliminated.
Okay.
And I don't actually take my videos down.
I know you don't take. I told him right earlier in the stream before you came up that what you do with videos, so they know. But
all right. Alrighty, see y'all later. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Doc.
Peace.
Peace.
Okay, who's next? I'm literally like in the middle of marinating chicken. Multitasking.
I'm burnt out. I have nothing else, man. Good seeing you. Like I said, Shay, if you're not gonna do live streams like you used to, I mean, once a month or once every 2-3 months will help. But don't try to take too many long breaks, because you know how it is, how the algorithm works nowadays. If you're not present, they're gonna start to stripping shit away from your channel. I mean, especially if the super chat's not enabled and stuff, they think that you're no longer active. So you're gonna have to make yourself present when you get a chance. Not all the time, but you're going to have to probably make it a way where, if you're going to come in, it has to make sense. Instead of taking long breaks. I'm just saying.
Yeah, all right, Chaos Rain. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, you take care. So we got Game Changer, we got Obsidian. Who wants to go?
I'll go last.
Okay. Obsidian, you got anything? Is he there? Or not? Okay. I don't know. Maybe he froze. Not sure.
Oh no, I had to step away from the mic for a quick minute.
Oh,
yeah.
No, just didn't know if you had anything. If you had any final comments before I sign off. Oh, it's Malarkey. Hey, Malarkey.
No, I'm very, very happy that we're having this conversation. This is something that needed to happen, and I think that it's my guess is that it's going to continue. I got a whole slate of more YouTube interviews over the weekend.
I wonder, just randomly, if because you guys made some really good points about or I think it was Eder that made points about the politics as far as how women work, and maybe not necessarily wanting to attack the woman directly, but using the men that they're associated with. And I've always wondered, I was like, okay, it's been hard for me to maybe find a Black feminist or something that'd be willing to engage with me. Would I be better off talking to a Black male feminist? Should I start there? Or
well, here's the problem with that: the black male feminists are worse than the Black female feminists.
Right,
so,
but
take the FD signifier, for example. The FD signifier, is just as bad as a Kimberly Nicole Foster in that they will not engage. So, I mean, and I've seen this firsthand in the Mr. For Harriet phenomenon. He hides behind her skirts. So I mean, it goes beyond a question of gender or sex. It's a ideology. These people hide behind self-righteousness, behind solipsism, and they don't actually test their ideas in real time. So, but that whole thing is starting to crumble. We see it in real time. Harvard's pretty much, I mean, you got people like Larry Summers stepping away from Harvard now. You got people like, Bill Ackman, who has given millions to Harvard, now using his money to take down Harvard presidents. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, there was another story in the news. I can't remember her name right now, but she's the head of the DEI piece at Harvard, black woman. She has some 40 incidents, infractions of plagiarism, including one of her own husband.
I saw that.
So, I mean, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So a lot of this stuff is happening at a really great time, and it's forcing some real conversations to the forefront. And I'm very, happy about that. And I think that my situation, which is just a small piece of a much larger one, I hope it will continue to spark real conversations.
Exactly. That was kind of my point. So thank you for, stopping by. I'm glad I was able to get.
Thank you. I was looking forward to it. By the way, did you get my letter this morning?
You know what? I have to go back and check. I'm a little bit. You move a lot faster than me.
Yeah, I wrote. So what I did is I wrote you a letter.
Okay.
And as I was writing it, I said, you know what, this will make a good open letter. So I added a whole bunch of people to receive it. Then I said to myself, you know what, this will make a really good post for the Black Manosphere Conclave website. And so I did that. And I said, you know what, this will make a really good chapter in my book on modern Black feminism. And what it's about is about the idea that the Black Manosphere is a public health crisis. This is what Foster has been kind of proffering, digital terrorism and all this sort of thing. And I brought up the point that incels are now being studied at the academic level.
Yes, I did a live on that. On that.
And that there are researchers who are taking on the claims that these incels are going to be violent toward women. They're all going to turn into Elliot Rodger, which went down a decade ago.
My live. I did a whole live on that a few months ago. I looked at incels and femcells.
Right. And what the research and what the evidence says is that incels aren't the problem. They're not violent. If anything, they're a danger to themselves because because of suicide. The real danger to women are the guys who have outsized sexual access and success with women. Those are the women those are the men you need to be aware of, and I lay it all out in my letter to you. Okay. So again, this debunks the claim that the manosphere, however you define it, because the argument now is that they all want to fold, all these different disparate groups into the manosphere. So they include the incels. The incels are the least of women's worries. It's the guys who really do well with women. They're the ones that have the entitlement. They're the ones that are going to attack you. They're the ones that's going to grape you, if you will. They're the ones that Me Too was all about. It's them. And of course, a lot of ladies don't want to confront that the very men that they're most interested in are the ones that are making their lives a living hell.
All right. Well, I'll check that out when I get a chance.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Okay, Game Changer, what you got?
Okay, thank you. So I think that you'll be hard pressed to get like a one-on-one or a Discord with or a back and forth with a feminist. And the reason for that is they follow a very strict model, one that others in this space attempted to follow, but went against it drastically. And that is observe, report, do not engage. I repeat, observe, report, do not engage. See, Minnie was saying that we should be doing that, and perhaps we should be, but in actuality, we not only engage, we over-engage. We engage.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I see what you're saying. Like, you're super direct.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, we engaged in the LinkedIn, we engage in Rumble, we engage in YouTube, we engage with hours and hours of it. We over engage, and they took the stance of observe and report and do not engage. And the reason for that is because you don't want to give a platform of voice to someone who has been silenced for a long period of time. And they know that engagement does give Black men a voice to their audience. So, that's why you'll be hard pressed to do that. They stay on code and they stay on point with that, unlike some of the people in this space. And they also know that it runs risk and consequences. So why do it? So I think that you'll be hard pressed to find it in that for that reason alone.
That makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, I've kind of, because I thought about this long and hard, and I kind of came to the conclusion that I think that would only happen if it was forced. Like, let's say there was a equally as influential movement that involved women that really held feminism to the fire. I think that would be the only way that the conversation would be forced. But I think it would involve women, and enough women really pushing back and saying, hey, we really have to examine some of these things. I think outside of that, because influence matters to a lot of women, influence, looks, perception, all of that matter. And without that, it's just like, you're not really on my level. Like that. I mean, I think that's just kind of the way it's going to be looked at. So yeah,
exactly.
I agree with you. And I think outside of a real push, whether it be too popular, like something like Kevin Samuels, right? He was so popular, they kind of had to respond to it. So I think it'd have to be something like that, truthfully. Maybe not on that level, maybe not exactly him, but I'm saying something that it's so popular, it's like you can't ignore it kind of thing.
Exactly. Well, I mean, feminists didn't really give him a voice. He gave himself a voice.
And exactly, and they have to respond to. That's my point.
Exactly. Now, their tactic was sound when they were trying to get the women to silence. Like, you know, when he was around and they said, you know, y'all need to stop going on this thing. That was trying to take his steam that way. And, you know, it didn't work because he was already, you know, too big. And, you know, they were attempting to silence him using their voice. They like, no, you silence them using your feet, just walk away from the show. So, you know, but that is their tactic overall. You know, as long as Black men have been voiceless, they made it a point to never publicly engage with them, you know, else, you know, give them an opportunity to spread their narrative. You know, I mean, the same thing was done to the early Christians, you know, by the Romans. You know, it's like, okay, what they did was they threw gladiator. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you start, and I know he was Jewish, but I mean, you know, you hear stories of David and Goliath and stuff like they attempted to silence them, but really, you know, their story was told greater because they became martyrs and things like that.
Exactly.
So yeah, and that's why Kimberly Nicole Foster, that's why she's behaving the way she is. She's like, listen, I'm not going to make this man a martyr. I'm going to, you know, attack a large portion of his livelihood and then not talk about it again because he no longer has a significant voice. So, you know, she was successful in silencing him.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, where it's like she's largely unbothered. I'm the one, truthfully, that wanted to bring this topic up just partially because of some of the things mentioned before, and I'm more curious to see how this evolves, because it's like her level of influence, no, whether or not you think it's fading or changing or whatever, but like her level of influence, the position that she has, her calling herself a public figure, means this means something, right? And as we continue to see the manosphere evolve in its own ways and come up with its own policies to try to protect itself, to try to empower itself, I'm like, at some point, those things are going to merge. Like, how that's going to look and what capacity, what that's going to mean, I don't know. But I'm like, so that's kind of more what I'm interested in seeing.
Well, Kevin Samuels was the original merging point.
The original merging, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're saying that there's going to be a separate one, and or an additional one, and that's possible. But I mean, it's not feasible. Okay, so if you don't have a financial agenda, or you know, there's really Black feminists. It's like, I understand that they're not going to be convinced otherwise because you know there's too much at stake. You know, we're talking about their ultimate agenda, which is to, you know, have superior quality mating partners. I mean, they're not going to give that up because, like, what do they get? What could they possibly win in engaging with us? They have everything to lose, but what do they have to gain from engaging with us?
No, they have absolutely nothing, which is why I said it would only happen if it was forced, only because they really don't have anything. They already have the institutional control and power and influence. And by and large, it's some of the men who are fighting for more of it. So it's like, why would they again, condescend, give up some of their power, their attention. There's no reason to, unless it's forced upon them.
Exactly. And that's why you'll be hard pressed to do that. That's why you'll be hard pressed in that particular situation. And then, especially you and Danica, it's really a losing battle, because your receipts, your results, your life, as it stands. And I'm talking about the two of you, because the two of you are married, and married young. You can't beat that. Like, most of these women have not done that. Not only did they not marry young, they didn't marry at all. And, their quality of life, no matter their financial status, is significantly inferior to yours. In a woman's eyes, in a female's eyes. So no matter what, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, that's that is another. I feel like it's a whole other conversation, game changer, because truthfully, I thought about this too, where it's like, man, as a woman, if I want results, I'm going to follow somebody who actually shows that they have the results that I want. So for all these women talking about they want married, they want relationship, whatever, I'm like, I would think that as Danica, she's been on the internet way longer than me. She was back in Facebook days, and I would think she would be so much farther ahead based upon what women say that they want, just by nature of the life that she's living. And the thing you love about Danica, like she's very much herself. Like she's very much like a Black woman, like just in her presentation, her vernacular. Like she doesn't have like that valley go roast. Like she's just who she is. You know what I mean? She's unapologetically Black. And she's living her life with her husband, like doing her thing. You know what I mean? So I'm like, just as somebody who came in super late after, I'm looking at her like, I don't understand. There's a disconnect. Y'all say you want all this stuff, but people out there who are living it, or who are just have like even the basic foundation of it, y'all aren't even interested in it. Like the math don't math to me.
It does. I mean, you got to think of it from their point of view. You're thinking of it from the point of view of a aesthetically pleasing woman, which many of them are not. And you're also looking at it from a point of view of a young woman, or a woman who's married young, which many of them, that opportunity has passed. So, I mean, they're looking at Danica Marie the same way I would look at LeBron James giving me basketball advice. Like, listen, that's not.
Okay.
That's not really for. Yeah, see, that's their point of view. It's like, who's this guy telling me to do this thing that I simply can't do?
You know what? You say that. Okay, it's funny you say that, because there's this one YouTuber, TikToker. She has like probably over 1 million followers. I started following her because her nails were so insane. Like I was just hella intrigued by her nail. Like I was like, how do you do anything? But so this is like she's like a plus size, very plus size Black woman with these like insane nails, like piercings. But she's married. She has hella followers, and she doesn't really do much. She'll be like, okay, I'm making a sandwich right now. She'll be like, okay, this is how I eat Cheetos. Like she doesn't do much, but I remember I did a video about her, and somebody was like, oh, she has a lot of followers because a lot of Black women relate to her because she's, plus size. She has like the, those big, like those nails where it's like, how do you even wipe yourself kind of nails?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like piercings, like she just has like the aesthetic of a modern Black woman. So a lot of Black women can relate to her off of that. And I was like, dang, I never even thought of it that way. That's so crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because she shows it as achievable. Like, I mean, people want to see like in a workout routine, you want to see the before and after. And, so yeah, she's like, okay, this particular woman achieved this goal without having to work out or do anything worthwhile. And I feel that I can, exactly. So that's the thinking. And that's why Danica doesn't get as much traction as I believe that she should. And that's because it's like, okay, she's, she has attributes that others do not possess. And that's why she's winning. Let's find somebody whose attributes that, are inferior to mine or on par with mine, and let's listen to her. Now, the thing is that,
man, that's crazy. Okay.
Well, and that's why feminism, sold so well to Black women. It's because of that. It's because the ultimate goal is to get more for less, meaning a higher value man for a lower value woman. And, it's had some gangway every time you see like, a 10 relationship. And by a 10 relationship, I mean, the guy is shaped like the number 1 and the woman is shaped like the number 0. And they walk around Walmart like the number 10. You know,
Right, it's quite common. I see that a lot in the Black community and the Latino community. Truthfully,
yeah, exactly. And you will, and this is because they're pushing that narrative. Well, I mean, Latinos is different because you don't see that when they're young, but they have like 8 kids and then she's shaped like that. But yeah. But no, with no kids, like I'm pretty sure, or with few kids, like the woman with the nails, they just shaped like that because of Doritos, not because of childbearing. So, so they have made a lot of headway in the Black community amongst Black men in getting them to lower the bar, calling fat thick, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They have made a lot of headway in that regard, and the Manosphere, particularly Kevin Samuels, challenged that.
Yeah, he challenged that because they weren't willing to make any change or headway as far as the economic standards.
Wait, say that again?
I said, yeah, he made a lot of headway because they weren't willing to modify the economic standards.
Yeah, and not only that, well, they are modifying the economic standards, but they are increasing it to a ridiculous degree. I mean, it's weird. It's like, listen, I'm going to be fatter and I'm going to demand more from the men while being fatter. And they gravitate towards the women that you described. Like, okay, how can I actually pull this off? Now, very few of them are going to pull that off, but but sometimes it does happen.
Yeah, I'm about to do a whole separate video on like
definitely email me when you do that.
Yeah, desirability and like money and attractiveness, because I'm like, I did one about this a while back where she called herself like a fat luxury dating coach, and she only dealt with millionaire sugar daddies. It was like a whole thing. And I'm
no. I know who you're talking about, and you misread it. She actually says she only deals with 1 million sugar daddies. Like that's how much she eat. So
no.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
No,
you said millionaire sugar daddy. I thought she ate 1 million sugar daddies. My bad.
No. I'll have to see if I can find it. But I talked about this because I saw it on Instagram, and like she posts all the luxury bags or whatever, and I'm like, even if that's a whole other thing, there are men who will sleep with just about anything, even men with resources. But it's completely different than somebody's like, okay, I'm taking you now to my corporate meeting. My husband even told me, he was like, honestly, he was like, I would feel some kind of way, like if I had a really plus size woman and I was bringing her to my meeting. He's like, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable with that. I was like, I'm not mad at it. But he was like, he never thought through, but he was like, yeah, if he had like a really plus size and you go into like this hot, corporate, and it's like, I don't know if that would feel right.
Well, it is. And you are, well, and he would be looked upon as less than. I don't know what field your husband is in. I'm in tech, but what winds up happening is if he's in any type of management, or he intends to be in any type of management,
right?
People do look at that and say, something, you have poor judgment, you have poor negotiation skills, and you have poor leadership ability. Because you can't lead your fat ass wife to a gym. They do. They do look at you like that. And so he's right to be worried about that, which is why he made the selection that he did. Absolutely.
Yeah, they won't say it, but I'm like, dang, it's crazy. And this is the things that I think women don't fully understand at all. And it's like, sometimes it's not even, I mean, there is still a biological component to it, but then also men who are thinking politically. And it's like, if I want to be in these particular spaces, what is this going to mean societal wise? And look, if you think society sucks and they need to change, that is fine. But we have to also be willing to deconstruct everything. You can't keep one component and say, no standards when it comes to weight, no standards when it comes to beauty. Let's remove that and not be willing to do the same with money. That's where I'm like, whatever we do, let's be consistent. Either we keep the current hierarchy or we throw it all away. But
now that's interesting, because you got me thinking. I'm trying to picture, maybe you can help me with this, the president since the invention of television that had a fat wife. I don't think that there exists one.
Wait, what?
Has there been a president since the invention of television that had a fat wife?
No. No. Are you kidding me? No.
So yeah, you're right when you say that there's a political aspect of it. Fat white, like Barack Obama probably would have lost if he brought up Lizzo. Like, oh man, we want like he can't even lead himself to a slim woman. He should lead the nation. Hillary Clinton wasn't fat, not when he married her, and not in 1992
No,
and 6.
yeah. She's older now. And I think too, yeah, even Barack Obama, because it's like I doubt Barack Obama would have won if he had a white wife. Him marrying a black woman got the black female vote for sure. So, anyway, that's a whole other thing. I got
Go ahead and do your tricking. My mistake.
Yeah, right. No, it's marinating now, but I'm like, I probably should get off. Okay. So, anyways, it's been cool. I know it's been a really long time since I did a live. Guys, be sure to like, share, subscribe on the way out. Hit the Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all that. Support your favorite content creators. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If I missed something, misunderstood. Again, I just wanted to have this kind of open dialogue around this whole topic. So yeah, that's the point. Thanks so much, Game Changer, for hanging out.
All right, thank you. You have a nice day.
You too.
All right, goodbye.
All right. Oh, real quick, you know what? I think I just noticed. I want to acknowledge you, super chats. Real quick, where'd you go? Super chats. Okay. L. Vincent with the 10, doing great work. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Also, Malarkey with the 15. It's so good to see you, Malarkey. Morning from London, England. Wow, that is early. Listeners, please like, subscribe, and donate to your favorite content creators or putting in the work. Let them know you care. Thank you so much, Malarkey. Appreciate it. I think this is another one. It's God forbid that Black men of all walks of life are given a platform to speak on issues deemed important. It wasn't deemed a gender war until Black men responded to the misandry. That's actually a very good point. Very good point. This is another one. Answer is no. These feminists are socialists who want every aspect of life politically controlled. If you disagree with their ideas, you're out. Very interesting. Black feminists want beautiful women not to have a say, just like they silence productive, successful Black men. Goal is to remove hierarchies overall. Goal, I do think they exclusively mention that they don't want hierarchies, but I do find that within those discussions, it seems like there are certain hierarchies that they benefit from that they are still willing to put up with. I.e., the post that I saw where she was like, "Hey, until patriarchy is completely destroyed, don't settle for a man who's not willing to pay for everything, and don't settle for a man who's not willing to like go the extra mile to take you on a date." I was just like, wait, what? So yeah, there's definitely something there. Ultimately, as I mentioned, these kinds of conversations, this battle between Mr. Obsidian and Kim, I think, again, spoke to a larger thing. That's tension that has really been going on for quite some time. And again, I'm kind of more curious as what to expect moving forward. As I said before, I would love to have a conversation with a feminist, or I'd love to see a feminist really have a conversation with the likes of somebody in the Manosphere and really delve through all the points. That may never happen, and that's completely fine. But it's just, I don't know, it is just interesting. I'm someone who really believes in the empowerment or wants to see the betterment of the Black community, and I think that actually means both voices need to be heard, both sides need to be heard, which is why I do like engaging with men. I do think the Manosphere should have a voice. And even outside of the Manosphere, I know there are men who don't associate with the Manosphere. I think they should have a voice too. I think that's important. In order to have a healthy community, you got to value the men. You can't really get around that. That's how God created it. So outside of valuing men and their input and their place in the society, if that's not done, then there's not really a thriving community. There's just not. So that's my mindset. Doesn't mean that I agree with everything. Doesn't mean I agree with everyone. And you can totally and completely disagree with somebody and still be respectful of their personhood and their opinion. But that's my goal. So anyways, thank you so much. Thank you guys for hanging on. Like, share, subscribe on the way out. Share this with somebody that you think may find it interesting. And yeah, we will talk later, okay? Bye.